Boulevard, Wilmington, Rosecrans, Central. Don't get this motherfucker roped up. Don't get this motherfucker roped up. Boulevard, Wilmington, Rosecrans, Central. Y'all gonna get this motherfucker roped up. Y'all gonna get this motherfucker roped up. Posted on Brazil and Wilmington. Red flag, red khakis, red penalty. Cold steel got them trembling. Stomp a nigga out in my Timberlands. Red dot on your head, nigga. Either you up at 7-Eleven or you dead, nigga. Your auntie stay around here, but you don't. Your cousins might make it out the hood, but nigga, you won't. Fresh out the barbershop, RP G-Man, Westside Bomb. My city been on C-SPAN. My hood been on CNN. My hood been on Watch. My city in the middle with Long Beach and Watts. I'm at the Chansburgers, eating fries. How many niggas that died eating number 5s? Been shot a couple times, but I'm alive. Love City hustling, I show you how to survive, nigga. Boulevard, Wilmington, Rosecrans, Central. Don't get this motherfucker roped up. Don't get this motherfucker roped up. Boulevard, Wilmington, Rosecrans, Central. Y'all gonna get this motherfucker roped up. Y'all gonna get this motherfucker roped up.
Man, shots don't gang bang. I fuck baddies. Show you how to stuff on the peas and turkey bags. Rubber gloves, dog spray, no khakis. Ride a steel, tell Jesus, slow flappy. Else come wrong, relapse into the old days. And not a spouse, middleman in the cocaine. Finger on the trigger, cause niggas ain't trying to fight. And bitches ain't shit, so niggas ain't trying to wipe nothing. Who needs love? $1 Million weed clubs. Hardcore the sunset, RP the key club. Hoes never ease up. D2B, nigga thought he was fully till he seen me. Westside baby, ain't tripping off Nathan. Going out of winter like Peyton. Still 100 like Davies. Gold on the chrome, same to the nigga gone like Martin and Jerome. What?
Boulevard, Wilmington, Rosecrans, Central. Don't get this motherfucker roped up. Don't get this motherfucker roped up. Boulevard, Wilmington, Rosecrans, Central. Y'all gonna get this motherfucker roped up. Y'all gonna get this motherfucker roped up.
Hey man, just tell God, come and lift me, come and talk to the devil, man. This nigga stay busy. But never get it twisted just cause we don't wear tickets. You ain't heard of Mossberg, you know you ain't friend of city. Yo, man, I was born in this problem. We thought we knew the answer way before we seen options. Do you know the feeling to have niggas out watching with your kid out shopping? You gon' still yell about it? Ooh, man, I done lost hope. Hope you a thug to the bone when we cross roads. Too many RIP shirts round your turf way. We tryna figure why y'all got it made in the first place. Wait, no, my niggas on the way. Wait, no, somebody finna pay. Finna hit that, but man, I just left the A. We don't recognize your car, you ain't coming in the gate on Westside Boulevard.
Boulevard, Wilmington, Rosecrans, Central. Don't get this motherfucker roped up. Don't get this motherfucker roped up. Boulevard, Wilmington, Rosecrans, Central. Y'all gonna get this motherfucker roped up. Y'all gonna get this motherfucker roped up.
All right. Let's get some commentary going. Hold up. Let's look at some stuff. All right, let's do this.
Probably. Nevertheless, there are far more beautiful women in the world than my mother. The point is...
Okay, we're going to do Game Changer. And this is Bala X 2.0. Okay, let's go.
That guy, oh my God.
I mean,
my mother, though, was a beautiful woman, is now old and fat, yes.
Okay, well, she's still beautiful, but she's old and fat.
No. You can't be beautiful, old, and fat.
Girl, if you want to call his mama old and fat, somebody send this to his mama.
You toxic, all you do is gossip. Now you mad at the world, you starting arguments. You a narcissist.
When you were saying that black women are not the least attractive group, who is?
Wow. Well, GC, I'm subscribed to you and I've been listening to you for a long time too. So hey, it's nice to speak to you. And if you feel that Black American women are the least attractive, then you are well within your right to feel that way. When we talk about that includes your mama, your sisters, and all that. You know that, right?
She's part of a group of unattractive people. However, there are smart people in universities that suck. So once again, but that doesn't answer the question. If you feel that Black American women are not the least attractive group, then please tell who is.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? To appease you right now, Game Changer, I'm gonna say that Black women are an attractive group of women on the earth, okay? And even if they made a new group of women on the earth, Black women would still be the ugliest, okay? But to answer your question regarding the collective of Black women and men's ability to find a good Black woman, just like your one mother is the only attractive Black woman on the face of the earth, there is also one good Black woman for you if you would seek her out. All right. So just like your mother has defied the odds and somehow became a pretty Black woman, there is one quality Black woman for every Black man who wants one out here.
Yeah, well, mama's old and fat. So
really, he said my mom or his? He said his. This guy. Oh my God. I mean,
my mother though was a beautiful woman, is now old and fat. Yes.
Okay, well she's still beautiful, but she's old and fat.
No. You can't be beautiful, old, and fat.
Girl, if you want to call his mama old and fat, somebody send this to his mama. Girl, she probably raised this child. Ain't nobody in her basement right now. His mama know what she raised. She probably hear you on the intercom.
Probably. Nevertheless, there are far more beautiful women in the world than my mother. The point is that I was trying to make, and thank you for agreeing with Kevin when he says that they're the least attractive. And by definition of unattractive means ugly. Okay, so with your understanding that they are the least attractive group, wouldn't you believe that it would be prudent for them to improve in certain ways, and Kevin is aiding and telling them which way they need to improve?
To make physical improvements?
Well, I mean, when I said least attractive, I wasn't really implying physical. You said ugly. But,
okay, attractive in what ways other than physical?
In every single way that men find women attractive.
Okay.
For example, submission. Black women are the least likely to give me a sandwich.
Where's my sandwich?
Here you are, dear, just the way you like it.
Sex.
If you touch that breast,
You think they're wise?
remove that hand now.
Oh my God.
Every small thing you want to touch breast. Is everything breast?
What? According to me, yes.
Let's see. Pretty much everything that men like about women, they lack and trail in other groups. So when you say least attractive, it's the lowest ability to attract. So is your answer to the first question still the same with this new knowledge?
No, I feel
A few moments later.
an individual.
A woman. That was not actually.
That was your second question.
It was the first, and the second wasn't answered.
Well,
Okay,
like I said, you didn't have to answer.
Let's put it like this. What was the second question?
The second question was about the attractiveness, right?
No.
Yeah,
Look, this was clear.
yeah, actually it was. But you see, we don't have time, darling. We appreciate you coming up. We got to get to the rest of the panel. Thank you so much.
Talking to you.
Okay. So let's talk about that. Is that, to me, that's an old stale statistic. Okay, to keep saying that, okay, black women are the least attractive. Okay, according to who? And then what makes them the least attractive? You have to qualify that. So let's look at it again.
Probably. Nevertheless, there are far more beautiful women in the world than my mother. The point is that, oh my God.
I mean,
okay, but the thing is, Game Changer lives with his mom. Okay? That's the thing. Game Changer lives with his mom. All right? He lived with his mama. And he talking like that. Game Changer doesn't even have his own place, I don't think. Okay? All right, he doesn't. Okay, Game Changer still lives with his mom saying that.
My mother, though, was a beautiful woman, is now old and fat, yes.
okay, well, she's still beautiful, but she's old and fat.
Okay, now he's calling her old and fat. Okay.
No. You can't be beautiful, old, and fat.
Girl, if you want to call this mama old and fat,
And these women are like taking offense to it when really they should just be laughing at that. That's really just something to laugh at. Okay, that's not something to take to heart, you know, like he's talking about them. And see, that's another thing. A lot of black American women, they're too sensitive. Okay, they're too, y'all can't trip over every little ass thing that be coming out of somebody's mouth. Y'all can't do that. Okay? Y'all can't trip like that off of every little thing that come off somebody's mouth. It's not worth it. There's more important things to worry about. There's a lot of things, especially for black women, that y'all should be worried about. A lot of y'all need to be worried about how to get y'all money straight. Okay? How to get y'all kids educated and get them straight and stuff. That's what y'all need to be worried about. Y'all can't be worried about, you know, Game Changer over here making a joke about his mom being old and fat.
somebody send this to his mama.
You toxic, all you do is gossip. Now you mad at the world, you starting arguments. You a narcissist.
When you were saying that black women are not the least attractive group, who is?
Wow. Well, GC.
Okay, now Game Changer's asking, okay, she said black women are not the least attractive group. Game Changer's asking who is. She doesn't even have an answer. She could have said something. She could have said, you know, Hispanic women are the least attractive, or Mexican women, or she could have said Asian women are the least attractive, or, you know, or Eskimo women are the least. She could have said that, but she could have jabbed back at Game Changer there, but she didn't.
I'm subscribed to you, and I've been listening to you for a long time too. So hey, it's nice to speak to you.
Now Goldie is being real nice to this. She being real nice to Game Changer as much as she can, and trying to make him feel at home and trying to accommodate him.
And if you feel that black American women are the least attractive, then you are well within your right to feel that way. when we talk about the
That includes your mama, your sisters, and all that. You know that, right? Oh.
She's part of a group of unattractive people. However, there are smart people in universities that suck. So once again, but that doesn't answer the question. If you feel that Black American women are not the least attractive group, then please tell who is.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? To appease you right now, Game Changer, I'm gonna say that Black women are the attractive group of.
Okay, now she's appeasing him by saying Black women are the least attractive group. But what does she really get out of saying that in this conversation? Nothing.
Women on the earth, okay? And even if they made a new group of women on the earth, Black women would still be the ugliest, okay? But to answer your question regarding the collective of Black women.
Okay, now ugly and least attractive are actually two different things, because there's a lot of things that can make you less attractive that have nothing to do with how you look. It could be your personality, it could be personal hygiene, it could be your attitude and your relation to other people, it could be cultural practices. There's a lot of things there that she didn't dive into.
And men's ability to find a good Black woman, just like your one mother is the only attractive Black woman on the face of the earth. There is also one good Black woman for you if you would seek her out. All right. So just like your mother has defied the odds and somehow became a pretty Black woman, there is one quality Black woman for every Black man who wants one out here.
Yeah, well, mama's old and fat. So
really, he said my mom or his? He said this guy. Oh my God. I mean,
my mother though was a beautiful woman, is now old and fat. Yes.
Okay, well, she's still beautiful, but she's old and fat.
No. You can't be beautiful, old, and fat.
Girl, if you want to call this mama old and fat, somebody send this to his mama. You know, she probably raised this child. Ain't nobody.
Okay.
Right now.
Again, this is a joke, and they taking this shit way too serious. You talking about somebody send this to his mama? Like, is that really, called for? It's just a joke. Why can't they just say it's a joke and laugh at it and move on? Why they gotta drag it out and make it this big thing that they spend all this time on?
His mama know what she raised. She probably hear you on the intercom.
No, probably. Nevertheless, there are far more beautiful women in the world than my mother. The point is that I was trying to make, and thank you for agreeing with Kevin when he says that they're the least attractive. And by definition of unattractive means ugly. Okay, so with your understanding that they are the least attractive group, wouldn't you believe that it would be prudent for them to improve in certain ways, and Kevin is aiding and telling them which way they need to improve?
To make physical improvements?
Well, I mean, when I said least attractive, I wasn't really implying physical. You said ugly. But,
okay, attractive in what ways other than physical?
In every single way that men find women attractive.
Okay.
For example, submission. Black women are the least likely to give me a sandwich.
Where's my sandwich?
Here you are, dear, just the way you like it.
Sex.
If you touch that breast,
You think so they wise?
remove that hand now.
Oh my God.
Every small thing you want to touch breast. Is everything breast?
What? I'm going to be here.
Let's see. Pretty much everything that men like about women, they lack and trail in other groups. So when you say least attractive, it's the lowest ability to attract. So is your answer to the first question still the same with this new knowledge?
No, I feel
A few moments later.
an individual.
A woman.
That was your.
That was not actually.
That was your second question.
It
Yeah, it was.
the first and the second wasn't answered.
Well,
Okay,
like I
let's go
said, she didn't have to answer it.
Let's go like this. What was the second question?
The second question was about the
Attractiveness, right?
No.
Yeah,
this was clear.
Yeah, actually it was, because GC, we don't have time, darling. We appreciate you coming up. We got to get to the rest of the panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you, GC. Nice talking to you.
Okay, now they kicked him off after that. You know, and I always ask the question, why do why does Game Changer go into these rooms and to talk with these women for hours and hours about femininity, knowing they ain't trying to hear it, only to get kicked off their panels? Wouldn't it be better for Game Changer to just go and focus on something that would give him power? Wouldn't it be better for him to go and try to start some new business or start some new app or something, or some new venture or something that could be profitable? Wouldn't that be better than just be sitting around talking about femininity all day? Wouldn't it be better for Game Changer to do that? You know what I mean? Because when you think about it, okay, all that time Game Changer has spent, Game Changer has been on here for years at this point, talking about the same thing over and over and over again, talking about these women over and over and over again. And these women don't want him, okay? They don't want guys like him. He is not what they are looking for, but yet he has made it his life's mission to try to convince these women to be feminine and all this and that, and they don't give a fuck about that because they live in a system and a culture where they don't have to be feminine to get certain things. They just don't. Okay, and I've said this, until black men get some real power behind them, some economic and financial power, you're not going to be able to compel these women to do what you want. I've learned this doing speeches and stuff to these women and stuff, and about feminine, what you want them to do. That can draw attention to stuff, but it doesn't actually make them do shit. Okay, in order for them to get them to do certain things, you got to build up some power. So let's go look at something else. Hold up. Let me go look. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go look at the Bernard Riley stuff. I was watching Bernard Riley today, and I was watching Bernard Riley today, okay? And there was a brother on there. He was making some good points, but I think he got into it with Hood Conservative. So let's look at that.
This show is brought to you by the Division 6 Comic. Really see.
All right, let's look at that.
this because I get all of O'Shea's notifications. So, and somebody sent me O'Shea's video version of it eventually. But I first caught wind of this from BGS. This was right in BGS's wheelhouse. So I will be
in ourselves, like he was talking about the business. And versus, I even heard Kwame talking about that today, talking about you won't go spend at the soul food spot, but you go spend at the Chinese spot. And so we did allow them to fool us out of that. But coming back to the point, keep them on those programs for their son. Y'all got it?
Yeah. As far as well, put it like this. To go back to what you were saying, and I'm gonna pass it to Hood Server in a second. But to go back to what you were saying about how when they start talking about programs for the boys or whatever, they'll say they don't care about that. I heard some of them say they don't care about that, or they say, yeah, I need to do it. And I think there's some truth in that to some degree. I mean, it's some truth in that if men want to improve the situation of men, we got to improve the situation of men. We improve men, we improve everything. So I get it from the perspective that we got to do it. But I'm reminded of a conversation that took place where one woman, she was just like, when it comes to black male issues, I don't care at all. I only care about black women and black children. And somebody asked the right question. Okay, how does that work? If you care about black children, that means you care about black boys and girls. So is it right up to, to he's 17 years and 364 days old, and then midnight strikes, and then you just stop giving a fuck about him? Like, how does that work?
Right, that makes no sense. That's the insanity of their vanity. Like, you're not making no goddamn sense, right? Right.
Yeah. But, all right, we got, shout out to Captain Sigel. He said you need to start wearing tight suits. That's actually true, because, like, my suits, I buy off the rack, and my weight fluctuates. So, yeah, some of them may be a little bit too much room. I got to go get them tightened up. But so you are right about that.
Don't get them too tight, though.
I know. Don't want them
to be able to breathe. Yeah, you want to have my shit got to breathe. My shit got to breathe. I can't be all tight.
They have no buttons popping off while I'm on the air and stuff. No, I can't do that. But shout out to Captain Sicko. Appreciate you. Go ahead, Hood Server. If you got to play, you got the mic. You there? Hood Conservative. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. All right, we're going to Officer Faulkner. Woo! Go ahead, you got it.
Woo! How you doing, man?
Doing good.
Just rolling down the street, dropping off my dad.
If you would have said, if you said rolling down the street, if you would have said in my 6'4", man, I would have.
Rolling in my 6'4".
No, I'm rolling in the SUV shit. But it's funny because I remember somebody referencing Tom and Soul and Black conservatives. See, the reason why people don't like Black conservatives is because they tend to be condescending towards Black people, and two, they kind of omit white involvement. They don't like to add in that racism plays a damn good part. Yes, you have responsibility as an adult, but they don't like to say that. But Jason Whitlock, he's saying the same shit.
I mean, KS is receiving pushback.
Can you hear me on? Who was that talking?
Me, I think.
I can't. Who's me? I can't see nobody's. I can't see nothing moving.
Wizard X.
Okay, now I see it. It wasn't moving at first.
Yeah, KS is receiving a similar pushback. Especially with that the interracial one where he invited Latinos and whites to. A lot of people were mad because of that.
I didn't hear the pushback. He always get pushback. That pushback ain't going nowhere.
I was looking at Twitter. I was looking at Black Twitter.
Can I speak to something that the most powerful man in the universe just said? that whole argument about they kind of get labeled that way on purpose. If you actually go back, when you read Manning Johnson, Color Communism, Common Sense, the guys who kind of came out, like Thomas Sowell himself. Thomas Sowell started out as a young Marxist, if you listen to his life story. And he came away from that because he just realized how unworkable the ideas were. Now, Manning Johnson got a little bit deeper, and he, saw an actual racial conspiracy there. But basically, the idea is anybody who's telling the truth about your movement, you kind of have to target them with trigger words. So whether it's calling people a racist, like if you're white, getting called a racist is a career ender. Well, if you want to be, accepted in the black community, nobody wants to be called a coon. Same effect, different word. And that's kind of how that works. Doesn't matter if he's condescending or not. That's a subjective take. If I'm correct, then it sounds like I'm condescending because you don't want to be proven wrong.
Thanks. Yeah, good stuff.
It's actually, the part that's actually condescending is that when you omit the information that's supposed to be objective, and he's going from an objective point of view, that's when the condescending parts start coming in. But anyway, for the white lock part.
Well, hold on, real quick. We said white lock. Here's the thing about the omitting it. I grant what you're saying about omitting it, but where's the fine line between omitting it and not making it bigger than what it is? Like, cause I understand it from that perspective. Yes, there are some challenges, like sort of like what David Johnson just pointed out, that yeah, there are some white people who are racist, and if some of those white people get into a position where they can influence something, they're going to be more, they're going to do more for their people. Two people equally qualified. If I'm in that position to hire, I'm going to hire the black one. That's
goddamn right. Right.
So
you gotta hire them, but guess what? It's no difference than, you get black women out there saying, these men are making babies, or my baby father ain't shit.
Okay.
You're like, okay, why isn't he shit? Is it because he really doesn't take care of that child, or you had the child, he didn't? You're really just trying to leave out a lot of shit. And that's what people tend to do. Now, does it mean they're wrong all the time? No. It's like here, a lot of people would say, hey, most black men tend to be a little bit more conservative anyway. So we're not really out there unless you're part of the LGBT community, most black men are not going to be in those marches if they're straight.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be fighting those. Most black men want families more than black women. So we tend to be more conservative leaning anyway. Now, if you tell black men the truth that, hey, there's racism, there's people who just not going to like you because you're a black man. We get it. We're fine with it. But when you say, pull yourself by your bootstraps, and not one race in this country has done that, and you're trying to convince us to do what other races of people have not done,
right?
That's fucked up. That's bullshit.
What is
every other motherfucker in this country has help from the same government that we live under.
Can I say this? Okay, that's a whole other debate. It's a whole other debate, but I'm like, you don't think black people have had, programs, initiatives, and incentives to do this and do that? I mean, I can't. Put it like this. This is where I'm at with it. I'm not in the business. I mean, I can say that, okay, what this person said is some BS. I could listen to Ben Shapiro and say, okay, Ben Shapiro, yeah, he's making sense right there. He's making sense right there. On that point right there, he did try to smuggle the racism under the table right there. But at the end of the day, I'm not about to be sitting here complaining about racism. I can't do it. And black men shouldn't do it. Men don't make good damsels in distress sitting there complaining about what them did to us. Like, that shit is stupid. I mean, we do that too much, and then we looking like some damn bitches making some damn buck breaking documentaries and shit. Like, I can't get just.
Now, I think what Bernard Riley just said is very brilliant. I really agree with that.
Jiggy with that, man.
Yeah, I ain't with the
Have I ever said that should keep you from accomplishing anything? Hell and no.
Right.
Never said that. Now,
Can I point something out before we go too far down the line? What is the issue with bootstraps? Let's keep it about because people are so romantically involved with the slave story. What do you think slaves did the day after freedom?
Wait, hold on, real quick. That was a damn good point. I'm gonna hold that thought in your head. The wandering mind says, "Damn, Bernard caring about how you look rather than getting what you want." No, I don't think getting what we want. The source of us getting what we want is complaining to somebody else to give it to us. That's what I'm saying.
What about making aware, though, Bernard? Is there a difference between constantly keeping the awareness versus complaining, or would you consider those the same?
Awareness of what?
Of that racism actually does exist. There, like make no mistake. For me,
the world
racism
doesn't care. The world doesn't care.
Right. But listen, what I'm saying. Wait. Give me 1 second. Me letting my people know keeps my people in the frame of mind of this is why we need to be the same way. See, understand this. This is what I have a problem with racism. The fact that black people don't apply it. That doesn't mean you can't do business. That doesn't mean you have interactions with other races, of course. But at the end of the day, like Bernard just said, and I said earlier, my people first. And what I'm saying is there's nothing wrong with practicing that. What we've allowed people to do, we've allowed people, like he said, which was true, we've allowed people to make us think racism is a bad thing, and that's how they play us. Meanwhile, everybody else is playing racism. That doesn't mean they don't have interactions with other races. This is context. For the most part, China's concerned with China.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now let me hold on real quick. Let me just say this so we can get back.
Black is not a country.
I got you.
Black ain't a country.
Right. Well, you know, we're not saying black like
no. You're an American. You're an American.
Right. But understand something, though, Pablo. There are due to situations before out of our control. There are some people who made this game, made it this way. I would tend to agree with you if there weren't actually stats and this document. Wait, hold on. This documented history. All right, hold on. All right, wait. There's documented history of them doing specific things to a certain group of people. We can go to Tuskegee. We can go to crack in the 80s. We can keep going. There's certain.
Which is the title of the stream, bro. Black women are those people you're talking about. Doing things to a specific group of people, black men.
I agree.
What about racism while these bitches are sleeping in our beds, stabbing us in the back?
I agree. So listen. It's not what you gotta understand, bro. It's just one and the same. Understand? She's working with the very person that's implementing the stuff we're talking about. I agree,
bro. The black woman is not the white man. Period.
But they are. But hold on. Is there a debate that they're not working together? Do we disagree with that? They're not working together. Are they not in cahoots?
She is responsible for her own.
Are they not in cahoots? Is what I asked you.
She is responsible.
All right, then. So check that, man. I'm gonna go.
Real quick. I got you.
If we let it move on to racism, you will never actually focus on black women. That is a fucking two-step. That always.
But listen, no, they're actually on the same coin. They're different sides of the same coin. Believe it or not.
They are individuals. Two different groups.
All right, real quick. I got you. Real quick. Hold on. Time out. I got you next, Charles. But it is worth pointing this out. I wouldn't mind black people talking about racism if it was from the perspective of, yes, everybody is racist, so we got to be out for ourselves. Let's go overachieve. But keep in mind that they are racist and deal with them with a long handled spoon because they racist. But let's also overachieve. And like we was thriving and overachieving, but we still just side-eyed every other outside group. I think that's more or less what a lot of other groups do.
Exactly. That's my point. And that's why we get off.
Time out.
And all I'm saying is do that.
Time out. But that's not what we do. We talk about racism from the perspective of what they doing to us, and then that's why we.
But not everybody though, Bernard. See, that's the problem. That's why. Wait. Let me just get back to you. This is why I came and clarified what I meant by racism, because I know people assume that. Because when I talk racism, people always assume like I'm crying. I'm like, no, bro. That's why I said I understand it. Every group looking out for their own group. The only group of people who haven't been practicing racism is us. That's the problem I have. I don't have a problem with racism.
You know what? You know what's funny?
Go ahead.
I believe in nepotism. I believe in a lot of that shit. I believe. See, let's clarify this shit and let's just pave this fucking road real quick. Number one, I am for my people. Number two, I'm for my people first.
Goddamn.
If I can legally get you out of a situation where I don't have to arrest you, citation you, find you, tow your shit, I will deal with it at the behest of my ability, at the greatest. Okay? Because I know how hard it is not only to be a black person in America, but at the real root of it, a black man in America. See, we gotta clarify this shit a little bit further. Everybody else except black men will use this to their advantage. Even your women will holler out, what do you have in for black women?
Mm-hmm.
And motherfucker said, aren't you black people too? They don't think of themselves as that. Now,
all right.
When we go into this, when he talked about the Monahan report, which BGS and myself talked about years ago, it's true. These women rather invest in being the queens of hell than being the handmaidens of heaven, even to their own fucking detriment.
Facts. That's exactly what
you made the statement that we only care about black women and black children. No, you don't.
Right.
No, you don't. I've been in schools teaching kids, even coaching wrestling, right? And the kids are doing, and the students are doing their homework. How the fuck are you 16 and you're reading like somebody in the third grade? But you care about even in Baltimore. How the fuck is it that your son is eligible for graduation? He's in the top 50 percentile, but his grade average is 0.13. And he has to repeat out of 4 years, he only passed 4 classes. But the mother didn't know. But I thought you gave a fuck about the kids. How many times have I been called to people's houses and I have to intervene? My 15-year-old doesn't want to go to school. Wait a minute, this issue was 15 years too old. Where's his father? Well, I don't know. Yes, you do. You just don't want to admit you're a failure. And see, that's what the problem with it is that we have people who don't want to admit failure. See, it takes a great person to admit failure, and as we said in the military, to come back and unfuck this situation.
Right. Grow from failure.
And a lot of people just want to keep talking about racism as in a woe is me, as to stand racism,
right,
and being prepared and forewarned. If I know that the world hates me, I better be on my shit on all time.
Facts.
I can't slip up. There's no difference when I was a competitive wrestler. And people are in Germany. Oh, you're a black guy. We don't think that you're that good. Okay, try me. Not failing. So you can insert whatever competitive sport, martial art contest you want. Same shit that black men need to be on. We know. You can't slip. You're not afforded.
Exactly. But that makes you better. That makes you stronger because you can't flash. That's how I look at it. I'm like, now I got to be on my game all the time. That's perfect for me.
Exactly. See, I don't look at this shit as a sign of weakness.
Right.
I think black men should just say, bring it on.
That's right.
Bring it on. And I'm gonna show you how great I am. And if you don't have that mentality, I don't have shit for you.
Facts.
Once you say you okay with nepotism, you no longer have any grounds to complain about racism. White racism is the ultimate form of nepotism. So, like you said, listen, black people need to get more in the game. We should love our children and be as nepotistic with our affairs as our so-called enemies are.
Facts. I agree.
All right, we're gonna keep it moving, but real quick. Freedman's Journal. Wait, hold on. I didn't even acknowledge you.
No, I want to get out of there.
Oh, no. I got SKC and Arab Black TV ain't said nothing in a while. God damn, I got too many people in the back chat now.
Damn.
Shout out to Clue. Yeah. Says peace.
That means it's a good conversation.
Yeah, shout out to Clue. Says peace. Hood. Freedman's Journal says being a black boy is hard when the public education system is designed to fail you. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. We also got Freeman Journalist back in here again. Says, how many people here attend their local school board meetings? Thank you for the super chat.
Thanks. We definitely we need to get into the local government. That is one of the governments that you can actually have some control over. So I'm gonna say this again. That shout out to my guy, Mr. Research. He's always on that. We really do need to seriously get into the local government. Absolutely.
Hey, real quick. I'm gonna fall back. But yo, the job I have right now, I'm gonna fall back so you can let some of the people in the back chat up. The job I have right now, I have because black men gave it to me.
Yeah, that's right.
Good stuff.
Right. And that's all we say. That's all I'm saying. Not to cry. Not to they ain't gonna never be fair. Man, they're not supposed to be fair. Or that part I don't want to hear. Like, but understand this. I need you to know that it's happening, so that as you grow up, son, you can become the same way. If it's either your people or somebody else, put your people in there. This is why I actually want to teach racism. But the point I'm making is they were very clever in it. What they did, and you gotta blame them for this. And this is your enemies. They purposely took something that's something you should practice and made it taboo just to you. Everybody else understands it and they're not ashamed of it, but they've made you feel ashamed for it. And that's how you know your ass is the goddamn underclass. The only person not practicing racism is the goddamn underclass.
Wait, David, I wanted to say something, but it's well, let's just say that it's I want to say these forces are actually choosing, I guess, blacks to spread this message. Some blacks are actually actively working with them to spread that message that you're mentioning.
You lost me. You were saying that.
Yeah.
It's just like let's say white media is using blacks to perpetuate negative stereotypes and messages to black youth, which overall kind of it affects their outcomes if they internalize it. So it's not you have our own people actively working with these forces to.
I would agree. Listen, for me, let me say this. For me, traitors must go. Like, for me, the traitor's worse than the enemy. Like, the enemy, I understand. The enemy is trying to win. Like I said, back to racism. I have no problem with that. Let's compete. Stop. I'm gonna tell everybody you tie my hands. I'm not gonna cry about it. I'm gonna let them know you tie my hands, and I'm gonna still whoop your ass. But I'm gonna make everybody hip to what you're saying. But first and foremost, the traitors. Oh no, like I always tell people this in regards to dealing with our women, and this is what it is. This is what I was trying to explain to Hood Servative, aka David Monroe, why they were two heads on the same coin. Is because the biggest threat is I always ask people, what's the immediate threat? The traitor on the inside or the enemy on the outside? Anybody with common sense should already know it. The immediate gives it away. That means whoever's closest to you, which is the traitor. So traitors must go. Traitors are one of the biggest reasons everything we do comes down, and that's why we need to stop. It can't be one person. Sometimes it can. Go ahead, Charlie.
The fatal flaw of that argument is you're giving too many people credit that they have common sense. That has become so rare that it's classified as a superpower now.
Absolutely true.
Hey, well, all right. We gotta pass the SKC. You've been waiting for a minute. We gotta get the SKC in Air Black TV.
Black.
Oh, my bad. It's not Era. Wasn't it Era? Or okay, it's some other body. Somebody else named Era Black.
There is an Era Black TV.
Oh, okay. My bad. Man, you don't play that shit. You must don't like that.
Get it straight.
You must don't like Era Black TV. You like, hold on.
There's too many of us kids in there, and I'm trying to weed myself out.
All right. Well, go ahead. SKC. What did I say? SKC brought popcorn. SKC
Supreme.
brought popcorn. Okay.
That's the king provocateur. SKC is the king provocateur.
Man, all right. I'm not trying to be a provocateur. This one, man. There's a line of reasoning that I just want to point out. So far as the racism part, we know that a large segment of black women use racism as an eternal victim narrative to get what they want. And then we also know that there's some black men who have been influenced either by being directly raised by them or, following after them, that they do the exact same thing. Also, there are black men who recognize racism, but they want to excel anyway. They don't use it as a crutch, as it were. So with that as the beginning part, you move over to this understanding that black women are putting all these narratives out there that are most educated. You got black women talking about black men are killing them every so many minutes, and that their words are violent to them, that they're the backbone of the community, that they got black girl magic, that people need to protect them, and that black men need to set up things for black boys if they want the black boys to succeed, even though they are the largest segment of single parent households, which raise the majority of these boys. Right. So they have created this subculture that promotes that black men are expendable. So my question comes in is, how can you be for your people, as it were, if you have more than half of your group who is a direct or an indirect enemy of you succeeding?
Listen, SKC, you know I'm a troll. Anyway, SKC, you know I'm a troll. I salute you. You came and dropped it on the table. I got to give it to you right there. Because listen, that is a pickle there. That is.
Well, Dave, I get for someone to say, now, because I have to give an out and a solution as well. I get when people say, no, I'm for my family, my immediate group, my family, and so forth. Yes, I get that. That makes sense. But to say you're for your people and our women and stuff, no. The community, by its words and actions, show every day that it hates your family setup, your unit. Its very culture is against it. So what are you talking about? I'm for my people.
Well, no, you raised a good question and you framed it perfectly. The only thing I'll say that if within your people there are people within your people that have bad ideas, right? You beat bad ideas with better ideas, and then there's a war of ideas. That right now we are overall losing the war, especially when it comes to larger scale political power and all of that. But I think on the social media, on that, because within a war, there's a lot of different battles. I think we are winning some battles, but overall, that yes, there are people that's in our group that's part of our people with a lot of bad ideas, and those people with the bad ideas have not just, they've infected the men as well, because the men are walking around with the bad ideas. When I was playing the clip of Jason Whitlock, a grown ass black man came in here and basically said, this dude just crying because he got fired. Like that tells you everything you need to know about how bad those bad ideas are, to where when men are talking about what men ultimately need to realize and going forward need to do, in light of the situation, it's men who want to poo-poo it. I mean, I expect a woman to come in here trying to derail the conversation with something like that. So yes, there's a lot of bad ideas out there. It's a war of ideas, and yeah.
And I'm gonna pass.
Wait, but SKC, hold on. Let me kill him all the way off.
One thing, David. I'm gonna shut up after this, bro. I just want to ask: does everybody here understand the simple fact that David Johnson, Bernard Riley, Officer Faulkner, these dudes with their families and stuff, you are the vast minority in the culture, as it were.
Go back to what I said when one guy said, why not? Hold on, but they go back to what I said. Somebody, I forgot who it was who super chatted. Why not just deal with some Middle Eastern woman? I mean, that's again, there are small steps and then there are large problems. Okay, this is a large problem. We understand that this isn't just a score one touchdown and now we won. No,
this is a process. This is a process. And listen, you're not gonna get out of a 500-year scenario by tomorrow. That's just not how it works. But let me kill SKC.
We're in it for the long game.
For the long haul. This is a long game. Wait. They say the wheels of justice turn slow, and they do. But now let me come back to SKC. SKC, I wanted you to feel like you win because I had the answer to chop your head off. I just wanted to play, make you feel good, prep you up for the setup. But take the manosphere. We are the vast minority, but look how we've grown. Look how our message our message is on fire. Remember, they were saying at one point in time, I've been listening to the females lately, the different channels. They said this weren't all men. This wasn't all men. This is just these men over here. Then I noticed lately, they said, we're not going to say some, we're going to say all. That shows you how powerful our message is. So SKC, when you talk about being the minority, there's something I love in the movie. What was that? The movie Red with what was that? Bruce Willis, I guess. And they said there's nothing a small dedicated group can accomplish. That's a fact.
Yeah, it took a lot of media propaganda to inception the minds of so many black people to think the way that we think now. It's going to take the same thing in reverse. And so you're seeing the early stages of it, and you're basically saying, just quit. Well, they for damn sure didn't quit.
Right, Bernard, right.
So again, we in it for the long game.
You said let's stay in this position. Don't fight it. Just stay here. Stay comfortable. Stay.
No, because again, remember I said there are people who think towards solving the large problem that may very well take some generations. Then there are people who just thinking immediate. I need to make sure I'm good, and I understand that. And if SKC making sure he good, he just got to get him and Ling Ling and run off in a cabin somewhere and have her cook him some neck bones with teriyaki sauce on it. if that constitutes a happy life, I'm with you. It's fair. I support you.
You stupid.
I get that, and let me get my little joke back then. So that's fine, and I'll just let the other people go ahead and try to raise their broken families while they looking at Lil Nas X dance around naked in jail.
Man, I ain't even watched that shit.
You gotta own it, Bernard. You gotta own it. He tried to hit us with a pitch. That hit didn't do nothing.
I don't understand.
Nice try, SKC.
I know we ain't with that nigga. Don't try to pin him.
Right. That's how you know he was just reaching. That's how you know he was just reaching. He knows.
But the large majority is. That's what I'm saying.
The large majority.
I disagree.
I disagree with that.
The large majority of who?
Right.
Black culture with Lil Nas X.
Black culture is with Lil Nas X?
Yeah, they are.
I just signed large.
Okay, how is the dude getting awards and jump in?
That is black culture.
Wait, hold on. Time out. To SKC's point, to the brother down there, and that's just Shannon Rouse. Shout out to you. I don't know who you are, but we'll formally introduce yourself in a second when we work out down to you. But to SKC's point, if Lil Nas X can tongue kiss a man on the BET Awards, then clearly there's a element of our culture that's okay with that. Like, there's no way around that.
Women.
Hold on. This is where SKC killing it. You said that did the BET Awards or Lil Nas X get Donkey of the Day on the Breakfast Club?
No, Ben Carson did.
Ben Carson got co-signed.
Exactly.
That is your culture now.
Ben Carson, the donkey.
Well, we spoke on the traders, though. Let's go always to the traders.
Yeah.
Hey, Ben Carson, not Lil Nas X. And every group has traders.
Wait, you consider Ben Carson a trader?
Right, who's the trader here? David, Ben Carson, or Lil Nas? Pick one.
Y'all know.
All right. Hold on. I gotta.
What you laughing at?
I'm gonna dance around that.
Come on.
Black people too. No.
You know what I mean?
You can be a trader in multiple different ways.
Black people
when
do Ben
you
Carson.
point this stuff out, to black people, then they want to just do the electric slide around it. Now that's a part of your culture right now.
I like making people dance.
All right. So good stuff. All right, I gotta acknowledge the super chats while I move along. Chief Rocker in the building says, "Peace be iron chat." The real question is how many parents put the same amount of effort with their child's scholastic endeavors as they do with their AAU and local high school sports program. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Shout out to the Big Mag. The Fisher said, "Progressive black female voter is an enemy." Shout out to you. Appreciate that.
1 second, Bernard, because my very first ever, and shout out to Brother X, I'll see you on the panel. My very first ever debate was on Brother X panel against the man of tomorrow. And I told him flat out, to be a progressive is to be a feminist. and I'm just sitting back watching my words bear fruit.
All right, shout out to
CRT is feminism.
Shout out to Black Wizard in the building. He said, understanding racism isn't as simple as Alpha through it. The Moynihan report ironically addresses that. The premise was ignore racism. And Black culture, and the entire country will look like Black culture.
Well, anybody seen DC or Chicago lately?
All right. We're gonna keep it moving. All right. E Black, not Arab Black. E Black TV. Go ahead. You got the floor. You got the mic. I think I may have missed somebody's super chat. I'm gonna dig it up real quick and I'll acknowledge it momentarily. But go ahead, E Black. You got the floor. You got the mic.
What's going on, guys? Man, y'all been spitting, so I've been just sitting back, so I didn't want to get too much into it. You know, I think the one thing that Jason Whitlock kind of said was basically after the Civil Rights Movement. Well, what happened after the Civil Rights Movement? We had the Black Panther Party. So what was that organization looking like? That was not just a Democratic, or I should say, it was not a Democratic wing of any party, to tell you the truth. It was a very independent wing of the Black vote. Martin Luther King took Mississippi for voter registration, so then the Black Panther Party kind of progressed that. So what ends up happening is the Black woman ended up taking the woman's rights to another level because they started getting grants. They started getting into colleges. So, I mean, on that point, you know, what I've always said is that Black men need to create Black men institutions.
Mm-hmm.
We have an institution that was highly successful in the Black Panther Party. It's just now the message gets caught up with white or with liberalism, and that is not really that, because you had a guy who, like Eldridge Cleaver, who was a Republican or a conservative at that time. So I don't want to say Republican and Democrat, because during that time they flipped over because of the New Deal. So it's kind of, you get a little gray area right there because they're doing the flip.
All right, SKC says, who are the male analogs to Nas X and other races? I mean, come on, like Brokeback Mountain won Picture of the Year at the Oscars. Like,
that shit gets clown mercifully. Clown.
I gotta say, openly gay white male pop star. Like Ricky Martin was the last, and he kind of faded out.
Ricky Martin's Puerto Rican. Ricky Martin is Puerto Rican.
Who's that dude in the prison shower? Give me the analog.
I think somebody said
give me the analog.
No, somebody had mentioned. Okay, no, you got a fair point. So even I heard somebody mention the guy that won American Idol. I think he was talking about Clay Aiken. Clay Aiken came out, but he ain't ever kissed nobody at the damn MTV Music Awards. So I mean,
I think Lil Nas is getting paid to do this kind of stuff.
Definitely.
Of course.
There go that. Okay, all right.
Or
there's always form of payment is exposure.
Yeah, that sounds like this nigga just can't be on some bullshit. We got to put a white boogeyman behind him. That's
it's not like what Young Thug did with the dress and stuff, just to get more promotion. I think it's for that.
And who is accepting them?
Right.
The blacks.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Not by and large.
Time out. Wait a minute. Let me ask you a question, because this is where my damn near 40 is kicking in. Do y'all know any black men who actually listen to Young Thug and like just feeling it, like that's their shit?
That was my point. That was my point.
But that point doesn't make sense.
Hold on, wait. JB, you said you do?
Hey, I listened to freaking Thug back in the day.
Huh?
I listen to Thug.
Yeah, but what you like that
Lil Nas X after Old Town Road?
Hold on, wait.
Somebody name one song after Old Town Road.
Time out. I'm asking one person the question. JB, you like that shit? You rock with it? You and your boys, y'all be doing the homie? Like,
you know what? Hey, Bernard, hold on. I used to listen to Thugger, man. Check it out. Stupid.
Bernard, the way he said that, nah. I gotta say,
hey, Bernard, I got some docs, right?
Right, hey, bumping chests.
Hey, y'all gotta beat the game though.
Don't knock Thugger.
But wait,
Hey,
we can focus on sexuality. Wait a second, we can focus on sexuality, but then we can't focus on racism. Y'all gotta pick a struggle.
Okay, but the thing that's weird to me is like everybody here when this stuff comes up, it smiles and jokes and whatnot, which is cool. But then it goes back to the original subject of what I was talking about. These young men are growing up in female households, and those females are telling them that it is cool. So as many 40 and 50-year-old dudes that can sit up and joke about it and say, oh, yeah, I don't know nobody listen to this junk. You got a whole 2 generations coming behind it that are.
Hey,
and
y'all
you want to sit up and talk about my people.
Hey, y'all need to peep what your kids and their friends are doing. Seriously. Hold on, let me rock real quick, y'all. We're sitting up here going back and forth talking about, the invisible boogeyman, black conservatives, all this stuff, when every description of the problem is the problematic B-Dub who's creating a little terrorist, who's creating a little Nas X, who's promoting his music, and who's causing these boys to get 0.13 GPAs. It seems like the obvious traitor to the community is right there, but we're dancing around it, glossing around it, and nobody will call it for what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Wait. Let me be very clear.
One last thing, Bernard. Brothers can't.
I'm not saying it's one last thing around it or who's dancing around it.
Yeah, this is the manosphere. We don't gloss around.
I'll use you, David. Wait a minute. I'll use you, David Johnson.
Here's the
David Johnson. SKC. Let me finish this one thing, SKC. We asked you straight up, David Johnson, who's worse, Lil Nas X or freaking daggone Ben Carson? And you couldn't give us a straight answer, bro. That's the dancing around. Wait.
I couldn't give an answer, but I could have given an answer. I purposely didn't just to make it funny, bro. Don't
come on, man. That's the glossing around.
Bro. I have the serious conversation. Listen, I am the serious conversation, man. But I don't have to be mad and angry and voice my opinion about everything, bro.
The other part of dancing around it is
I'm the one said she was the inside enemy. I'm the one said she's the other side of the coin. I totally agree, bro. I'm not disagreeing with you there.
Right, Dave.
Everybody knows me knows I go hard on the hole. Make no mistake.
The only part that I'm saying, Dave, is that I think that a lot of people keep dancing around on is they will not accept that at this moment right now, you have more inside enemies than allies.
I want to say
by far.
I agree with that. I accept that, and I understand that this is a slow.
And I answered it by saying the manosphere. I gave him the answer when I said the manosphere. I already checkmated that.
All of the traitors that are inside.
So then the manosphere should just shut down now because there's too many people out there. We need to just give up and go ahead and just assimilate. We got
nobody. SKC, real quick. SKC. 4 years ago, I was one of the inside traders. So clearly, people talking about it makes a difference.
Thank you.
I get that point.
This is why we use the Matrix. We talk about unplugging brothers, waking brothers up, the true waking up, not that old woke blackety black stuff. No, the true waking you up the way you know what's really going on around.
But you can't wake up too far. You can't be condescending.
How many women haven't woke up?
No, sometimes you have to be condescending. Make no mistake. There's only one pill for pride, and that is humiliation. Make no mistake.
Well, I stand corrected. Will everybody come over to my channel then, and get some of that condescending?
I love it. Listen, let me say this. Wait. Let me say this. Wait. Let me address that. I always say, this is how you know you're dealing with female shit. I'm talking about anybody does this is weakness. We get it. Like I tell people this all the time. There should be only one rule. No lies. There should be one rule. No lies. It should never matter how the truth is presented. Let me give you a case in point. People talk that it's not how you say it. It's not what you say. It's how you say it. I call bullshit. I call cap. Let me explain why. If I brought you $50 million in an ugly suitcase, would you say, hell no, I don't want that money. You should have brought it in a better looking bag. Or would you take that money? Like, would you be a fool and say no, or would you take that money like a smart man would?
Is it an ugly Louis Vuitton case?
No. It's dirty, busted. It's ripped. It's stink. It's dirty. It's all that. But it got 50 million in it. What you gonna do with it?
So I got to get my hands dirty.
Hey, Dave. How do you deal with that comment? How do you deal with the comment on the screen, Dave?
Let me see, what is
that's what I'm talking about. Dancing around.
Read it to me. SKC is small.
Traders control and run the culture right now. And I was actually going to ask you a similar question.
I have a question.
Well, I'll say this. Wait. Well, let me answer. It's a simple answer. It's not even complicated. It goes back to me and Bernard have just been saying about the manosphere answering SKC's point. At the end of the day, you keep working until you change that. I got a motto. My motto is persistence overrides resistance.
What is the work? No hyperbole. What is the work?
All the things that we cover in the manosphere, all the things we cover and more.
Like, yeah, David, you on the front line fighting the shit right now. I mean,
Bernard, but you
I'm going somewhere with this. Give me 1 second, please. Just 1 second here. The reason why I asked that question is because there is a distinct bifurcation of visions, and I think people are missing the bigger picture here. Direct question, Brother David. Yeah. What is a more pertinent fight for the black man, racism or feminism?
Okay, all right, let me say this.
I vote feminism.
Exactly. Wait, let me get it. That because it is a vote. See, like Les said, that isn't a one or the other question. You can try to hold me that, but it's not, because they're two different sides on the same coin. And listen. Wait, listen, let me answer. And there are sometimes you can fight on two fronts. If you have the right strategy, you can wage a war on two fronts. It might be difficult, and it is going to be difficult, but it can be done. Make no mistake. It's always about how you can outthink your competitor.
I think feminism is definitely an easier battle, because as long as you have control of the black woman in your household, you're able to address her needs.
I would agree with that.
Here's the dancing around again, Bernard. Here's the dancing around.
What's so revolutionary about that? Like, why does it sound like a genius idea all of a sudden?
Hey, y'all just admitted. Hey, David, hold on, David, real quick. Hey, both Davids, real quick, hold up. Y'all just said earlier that basically feminism and racism, Marxism, they're all the same thing. So the racism is that black women are always living off this racism. Black women. They're living off the racism. Now we've identified the number one problem is what they're causing. So racism then becomes their problem. It's not ours. That's why I say, David Johnson, where is your racism problem? Racism ain't keeping the 0.13 GPAs. The whole system there is ran by black women.
I have one question. That's very disingenuous.
How? How is it? How is it? Where in Baltimore?
Go ahead. I want for making family.
Who runs Baltimore?
Well, there's others.
All right, wait. Time out. I do want JB to explain why he thought that was disingenuous, and then if a fire don't start after that, we're gonna move down to Brother Xavier and the brother in the lower right hand corner.
I just have one question after JB, if that's possible.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, right now. Okay. I just wanted to say, if we're trying, if we're really we are concerned with the black culture and with the black female, but what are we doing when it comes to I would say the prevalence of thought culture, especially propagated by media? Like, what are your thoughts on concerning that thought culture versus culture?
We shame it. We show people that we don't support it, and we ostracize those who do.
And sometimes, sometimes we eat at that restaurant as well. But anyway,
JB, how much disingenuous, JB?
Because I was watching Rolling Loud, and I saw like Megan Thee Stallion wearing this shorts, very short lingerie with. It was really bad. So I just want how are we going to combat pop culture and promote pick-me culture? Because it's not. We're proud to let children over here.
I think the manosphere does a good job at that, but there are divided or camps in the manosphere where some of them, more or less embrace it and just benefit from it, and some people acknowledge the problem that it is. But it depends on what your ultimate end goal is. If your ultimate end goal is, if you think black families and all of that is a good thing, then you do have to side-eye it, but at the same time, you do gotta have a problem with it. But it's almost to some degree. I'm not saying that problem has to get worked around, but it's almost like so much toothpaste is out the tube that it's a difficult one. It is a difficult one.
But like how I was going back like I was going back and I was saying is that men, we define the culture. We push the line. So when we get our stuff together in a way that is organized and institutionalized, the women hop on because they want us. But like I said, look at every revolution we've had. It's always started by the men. It's never started by the women.
Why
women do not need a revolution?
What do you need a revolution?
Where is that revolution now?
I'm talking about cultural
revolution for?
Because
for what? Just do you.
Because we're.
Oh wait, no. See, Trey, that's where me and you disagree because there are people trying to talk about bigger problems than just that individual guy just doing.
Okay, Bernard, you do you. Then you get around a whole bunch of other brothers that are doing them. You come together, you form like Voltron. Now argue with me on that, Bernard. If I come together with SKC, we find 5 more brothers, and they find 5 more each that are doing us. Then boom, how can you argue with that?
Okay, and then hold on, wait. Stop. If that keeps growing, what are you going to call that? A cultural movement.
It's not culture. It's just cultural movement. But guess what? The minute SKC brings in his Chinese freaking brother-in-law's freaking homeboy, oh man, no, you letting the Asian man in. I bring some Dominicans in. Oh man, you letting your white people in. You changing the culture. Nah, bro. It's because
but Trey, they ain't gonna say nothing. They gonna try to say nothing if my cousin-in-law has the bag though.
That's what people.
Hey, because it's business. Like, yeah, we don't have to be friends to do business. Thank you for your business.
But they are gonna say something. But they are gonna say something when he throws an event and says, "No, you can't be in here with saggy pants. No, you can't wear yellow weed."
Shout out to the Turkey Leg.
All right.
Not everybody. Knock it off.
Before I pass it, CJ MBM says the traders control and run the culture right now. Shout out to you. Appreciate that super chat. And also,
that's what they told. Let me say this. That's what they told the manosphere. Look at us now. Go ahead.
All right. Quincy X in the building says nobody talks about how most immigrants are traders. That's a whole nother show.
That's a whole other show. A whole other few shows.
That's a whole nother show. And also, thanks for the cash app. I just got a $50 cash app from IKey5.com. He always sent me $40 or $50 cash apps, and his actual name is he got his name in there. His YouTube channel is George Stone, and I don't even know what he do on YouTube. But goddammit, the link is right there. I'm dropping the link to the man's channel. I don't know if it's George Stone. He sent me a $40 or $50 cash app periodically from time to time. I do appreciate the brother. So shout out to George Stone.
Support your interests.
Thank you for the cash apps, man. I appreciate them. Yeah, go ahead, JB. Then we got to work our way down to the brothers at the bottom. They've been really, really patient. So go ahead real quick, JB.
Oh, yeah, I'm cool. All right, man. So I do actually want to make a quick comment on the last super chat, though, that Quincy X. See, that's also because that's also a stupid mindset in my opinion, right? Because you only hear this bullshit online, right? Like this idea that immigrants are traders to, I'm assuming, to black men, whereas like in real life, you don't like this ADOS versus versus non-ADOS black people, whatever debate to me is very silly, right? Because it plays right along with a lot of the racism foolishness. But anyway, to respond to what the brother was saying earlier, specifically Trey, because I see Trey be talking out both sides of his neck. Basically, I think one of the issues I find a lot of times with black conservatives is that, and actually for me, that was one of the things that made me resist, this side of politics and whatnot for a while, is the fact that, a lot of folks in this space tend to look at things as if everything is mutually exclusive, right? As if like we're not human beings that are capable of multitasking, right? It's one thing to be, a damsel in distress per se as a black man, and another thing to basically just acknowledge the fact that racism is a real thing that does actually affect people, right?
Okay, bro. Okay. Outside both sides of my neck, bro. Get that point. How am I talking on both sides of my neck?
Can you let me finish my point? Right?
I get past the word salad and tell me how I'm doing it, bro.
Can you let me finish my point, bro? You don't get to dictate how it's done. You don't get to
go for it, bro. Bro, it's quite feminine, man. That's what I'm saying, bro. We're outside both sides.
Come on, cut it out. Let him go. All right, go ahead.
Bro, he's throwing at homonyms like I'm not used to it, bro. Whatever. Anyway, so basically,
you're not used to men, bro. So talk like a man. Get to your point.
You done? Are you done? You done showing how alpha you are, bro?
Hey, bro, that's female shit. Get to your point, man. What is it?
Are you done?
Bro, you gonna be a black female or what, bro? You
heckling him.
I'm asking him, man. He called me out. All right, I'll wait.
He did start out with a jab, and then now you proceeded to heckle him while he talking, so he could argue that you doing some female shit. So I mean, both like go ahead, JB, and Trey fall back, and then Trey go ahead and hop on him after he get done. All right.
I bet. So basically, what I was saying is just the fact that those two things can be true at once, right? So yes, we're not supposed to just sit here and complain about racism and whatnot, but it always annoys the hell out of me when I see people try to pretend like it's not a real thing, like it doesn't actually affect us in our lives and whatnot, right? So for me, I'm not going to sit and cry for anybody to come save me and whatnot. I just understand that I need to step up and do what I need to do and work with other black men or other men in general, right, and build and not sit there and complain. Right, but this idea, that the real issue is the black women. The real issue, I mean, both of those things are issues. Like both of the things, the fact that black women are supporting a lot of this bullshit, and they're essentially, as the many people have stated here, they're essentially to a point of basically traitors. I can agree with that, right? I'm not against that point, but it doesn't. I don't understand why I have to only agree with that and then completely dismiss the very reality that racism is actually real and it exists, and we can't just pretend like it doesn't, because that does actually affect, by the way, to answer this question, by the way, the reason it's important to actually acknowledge it is because you can't actually resolve your issues without acknowledging your barriers. You have to actually find ways to go over those obstacles. It's silly to think you don't have to find ways to go over them. That's very silly.
All right, bro. You done?
All right, now, okay, now explain, how was he talking out of both sides of his mouth? I didn't get that.
Exactly.
What was that? What was that last point that you made?
How am I talking out my both sides of my neck, bro? I said racism is perpetuated by the black female and her bullshit feminism, her quest for feminism since freaking the 1920s, and then really ramped up a glorious time in 1973. How the fuck is that talking out both sides of my neck? Because that's 100% facts. Look at BLM now. Look at the whole goddamn country. Every one of these fucking shithole cities are ran by damn crazy ass Democratic black women, bro. How the fuck am I talking out both sides of my neck? You want the racists? There they are. They run offices. They're judges, politicians. Some of them are damn near police officers. And they're raising these little Nas X terrorists. Where the fuck am I talking out both sides of my neck, bro? You're just a little sensitive, bro. You're sensitive, man. You're a millennial or zillennial, whatever the fuck you are. And guess what? Y'all are raised on this CRT, and you ain't never had to go out there and get it. Guess what? There's a whole lot of people in this world that ain't gonna like you, and most of them got the same skin color as you. Take a walk down the street in any hood and go to the trailer park and see which one you're gonna feel safer in.
So you notice how I was actually about to tell you, I actually agree with most of what you just said, but you're so emotional.
So what the fuck is the point, bro? There is no emotion, bro. You need to understand passion versus emotion.
Hold up.
Come on, bro. Man, get that vagina talk out of here. Stick your tampon in and go back to your mom, son.
Wait, I have a question.
Out of here, bro.
Hold up. So you see how I'm trying to stick to the point, right? But all you're trying to do is attack people, and then you
sound stupid, bro. All that word salad shit.
And then you call me feminine.
Get to the fucking point like a man, bro.
I'm trying to. Why you so?
You ain't, man. You ain't. Go to your dad. Go to your uncle. Get some masculinity lessons, bro. Ain't no anger here.
Wow,
come on, man.
All right, go ahead, JB. Go ahead.
Masculinity, I want none of it, bro. What you're doing right now, I want none of it.
Go, hey, all right,
JB, this is kind of like a hazer.
No, stop. The mic was passed. Now
I was literally about to say that I actually agree with most of what you just stated here, right? If you could get out of your emotions. I was about to say, I agree with most of what you just stated here. The only part I disagree with is when essentially almost, and maybe I'm the one making this implication here, and if I am, you could tell me. It seems that you're implying here that the racists are not really our issue. It's just the black women, and they're the ones perpetuating this racism. So just focus on them. And what I'm trying to say is that we don't have to be one-dimensional. That's essentially my point here. Is you don't have to be one-dimensional. I get your main point. I'm not for CRT, by the way. I'm not for all these things that you're just throwing at me.
How has racism affected you? How has racism affected you?
You want actual examples? There's some ways.
How is racism the black woman herself? Come on, man. That's the best answer. He is who got this chick on who's enabling this chick to do this fuckery. Absolutely. That's the best. That is the best answer. The black man. Now who dances? He should have smacked her ass down in 1963 when she started all that shit. He should have smacked her the fuck up. I ain't gonna argue that. So I don't argue that. Better late than never, though, Trey. Better late than never.
You somebody else will pick it up.
Yeah, well, I think he asked a good question, JB, when he said, "How is racism affecting you?" Because I mean, me and you have talked, and I know you're a young man, but you probably business-wise or economically doing far better than most. So it is a fair question for you to explain. Exactly. How was racism affecting you? Because I know you. Like me and you talk. You're doing damn good.
Exactly.
If I was where you was at when I was 26, I'd probably be rich now. But so go ahead.
Well, exactly. That's precisely why I make the point I make. Is that because for me, I don't sit around and wait for people to come save me, right? So I know how. For me, I try to understand the game. I try to understand the game and figure out how to take advantage of it, right? But I don't just pretend to.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so let me actually answer the question you just gave me, for example, right? So you just asked me a question of how is racism affecting me. I can give you real life examples. Everything from police brutality, right? I personally experienced police brutality. I've personally been stopped where it's very clear that there's no other reason why you stop me other than the fact that I drive a nice car and I'm a young black man.
Why y'all laughing at that? Like, Hey, y'all some bullies. I see why they think we bullies in the management.
Stop it, bro. Stop it.
That's what tissue paper dudes over here. He said getting stopped is brutality.
Stop taking his words out of context. He's talking about being racially profiled, and you know it.
But not just racially profiled.
Bro. If you got fucked up by the police, you're using too many fucking words to say nothing. If you got fucked up by the police, you'd have led with that a long time ago.
I was taking an example. You niggas don't know how to have a fucking conversation, bro.
You know how to take it personal,
You have no examples. That's all this is leading to, bro.
Officer let you go with a warning and you cried in your car.
Y'all ain't idiots. Hey, hold up. Hey, JB.
That's your problem. You never been bullied. Nigga, throw a counterpunch.
Hey, JB. Hey, JB, that's why it's good for you. You need it. It'll help make you better. Trust me, bro. It seems bullying, but it'll make you stronger. Trust me. You'll be all right.
But the thing is, none of this actually affects me, bro. Like, I'm just letting them have their fun. None of this affects me.
Just like
I know what see, JB, you gonna get to the point where you're not saying
racism, bro. We affect you just as much as racism does right now. Us talking shit to you is as powerful as racism has ever been in your life.
Hey, JB, man, I'll put it like this, bro. Mostly white people work for me, man, because I can't find no brothers to do the work I do, man. So at the end of the week, I feel like a slave master, bro, because I got these white men out here hopping and popping on the road for me, bro. This reverse racism feels good. And guess what? I make 98% I make 98% more than most of the white people in this country. 98% of them, because I got a whole lot of white people out there slaving for me. Guess what? This shit feels good. I'm a fucking overseer and shit. JB, man, that's what you got to do, man. You got to go out there and get it, bro. Fuck racism.
You gotta relax. You see what I'm saying? This is the one-dimensional mindset right here. Everything you just said, I'm doing exactly that. Like Bernard just said, Bernard knows me, right? Bernard knows me in real life, so I actually am doing all these things. So I'm actually doing all these things that you just mentioned, bro. Like I literally employ people, right? But I'm not one-dimensional with life. I'm not one-dimensional. That's why I make people stress.
You thought I was a black conservative? I'm not a black conservative. I'm a black supremacist, bro. I am a true black supremacist.
JB, do you think racism holding you back? Do you think racism is holding you back?
Absolutely not. I don't think racism holds me back.
All right, so I guess the problem is, and we gotta pass the mic. But the problem is when somebody has lived a life where they're their life outcomes and decisions puts them in a place where racism is not holding them back. It becomes a problem when you try to say that, oh, but racism is an issue, but I'm just smart enough and driven enough to make it to where it has minimal to no effect on me, but then it comes off like making excuses for other people who ain't getting up and grabbing their nuts and beating the world back. Like, so I can't. That's why
Bernard,
we shouldn't even play cat for that. But racism does have an effect. We shouldn't say that. I mean, yes, racism exists because it's going to be racist people. But to quote Erica Williams, something she said a long time ago on O'Shea. I think I was on O'Shea. She said racism is like an old dog with 3 teeth. Yeah, it could get a hold of you, but you just kick it and you're free. Like it's like that's where we're at.
What about the people? What about the people that navigate? Bernard, hello. I gotta say something. I have two questions. Okay, first, if you just look at China.
10 seconds.
Way back in the day.
If you go into China, it ain't gonna be real quick.
No, okay. Way back in the day, China refused to accept opium from Britain, and after that, Britain just basically said, we're going to tell you what to do about it. But now look at them; they're basically dictating much of Europe and even US to an extent. So this is more so about economics, which people kind of confuse it. Well, right now it's about economics. That's
It's never not.
Mike, no. We passing the mic to man. Thank you for your patience. What's your name? Shannon Rawls, man. All right, go ahead. You got the floor. You got the mic. First time on here. Look, you got some good camera work and some good setup, man. You probably got more subs than me. I probably need to borrow some of your subscribers, man. You look like you do this for real.
I only got 300 people, bro. Listen, I came on earlier to talk about something else, but I want to mention something that you just said, Bernard. And I'm glad to have found you. I'm subscribed to you. I'm following you, and I'm soon to send you some money. But you mentioned that racism doesn't really, for those who overcome racism and have moved and where it's not affecting them at that time, maybe at that time it's not affecting them. But are you saying that racism shouldn't exist, or people that has overcome racism shouldn't say that it exists simply because they directed their lives? Because I'm here in Hollywood. I'm downtown in the Los Angeles Fashion District right now, but I'm a film producer by trade. I'm 49 years old, twice married, twice divorced. My last big career move was a film producer in Hollywood. I'm in the PGA, had a studio over at Sunset Gower Studios. There's racism over there. Now I'm in fashion, right? And a little bit on this side. But the things that I dealt with over in Hollywood caused me to change my trajectory so I can succeed over here in fashion. Now, should I say racism doesn't affect me simply because I'm winning over here in fashion? Because when I was in Hollywood, I wasn't winning. So I do want to say that racism does exist and it does change and it can affect me. However, just because I was bright enough and smart enough to change my moves and make some different moves that it wouldn't affect me as much as it used to, I'm not going to just remove the fact and say, well, racism doesn't really count because I'm winning now.
Well, okay, some people that are white are smart enough to make moves and get out of the trailer park and become successful. But then there's some people, then there's Billy Ray, who's still in the trailer park, probably bitching about the government and the man holding him back. So
we're not saying give up. That's the point. We're not saying stop.
He could have won in Hollywood if he would have put on the dress. Am I lying though, Shannon? Am I lying though?
Listen, I was gonna get look, when y'all was talking about Lil Nas X, I was gonna get into that conversation because I know how Hollywood works, and I know
exactly.
the people that behind it.
It's a whole nother animal, isn't it?
I was gonna get.
But wait, I wanted to say too right quick. I just wanted to say
shout out to Dark Knight Mentality. Appreciate that super chat, Dark Knight Mentality. Go ahead, Dave.
No, I was gonna say that earlier because I'm doing financially great. Like, listen, I'm not a crybaby, and that's why I got it because I got up off my ass and went and got it. So I'm always about get up off your ass and go get it. I don't care what the obstacles are, but I would be lying if I told you there weren't some racial issues that I saw along the way. I'm not saying you can't defeat it. That's the whole purpose of me telling you, making you aware of it, but showing you by laying out how I did things in life, showing you how it's possible that it can be beat. Shout out to all my anime watchers out there. Itachi, he said any jutsu can be dealt with if you analyze it calmly. You sit there, you stop panicking, breathe a minute, let your mind think, and then start figuring out all the options. The answers will come to you. The thing is, we got to remember, some people are more mentally fortified and stronger than others. Go ahead. I'm sorry, bro. You got it.
Well, I wanted to ask the guy a question. I'm sorry, Shannon. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Shannon.
I can't remember the guy's name. Excuse me. But you brought something up, and I've been talking about this. It's a little bit of a tangent, but Hollywood racism, and not Hollywood so much, but I know that's your little corner of the world.
Entertainment.
Liberal racism is where I kind of been focusing. Like, if we really want to talk about systemic racism, look at liberal institutions. Look at institutions that are run by liberals. So it's not that racism does not exist. If you really want to get down to it, the same people waving the BLM flags are the same people holding black people back. So, I mean, who's really your friend here? And you know, one more thing before I shut up, I want to address something that's been popping up in the chat about black conservatives being on the side of like white people. Who can be? It can't be both. You can't have black women being the allies to the white cause and black conservatives being the allies to the white cause. We both can't be working for the same people.
Well, I just want to point out that the conservative, even though like you were shunning the idea, the notion of racism and white supremacy, but when liberals do it, now you and Trey are on board. Yeah, it's racism and white supremacy. Look what they're doing.
Who runs the school to prison pipeline? Who runs the school to prison pipeline?
So you acknowledge white supremacy long as it's a D in front of it. That's
I don't even call it white supremacy, but I'm using the rhetorical trick to actually make a point.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you see it, Bernard.
Okay. But it's safe to say there is a they, whoever they are. Is it safe to say there is a they, or there's nobody? Is this just a machine running and there's nobody running the machine? It's just running itself.
This is the problem of the progressive ideology. You can put any color of people in a situation. If they think this way, you will get these outcomes. So I'm using the rhetorical trick to actually make a point. But if you ask me firmly how I see it, it's not an issue of racism. This is socialism and Marxism. These are the outcomes of this thought process. Period.
Fair. That's a fair point.
In there too.
That's a
I'm sorry. How did you equate the jail system to Marxism?
Well, I said the school to prison pipeline. I use the school to prison pipeline to make a point. When we talk about black people always, going from school to prison directly as if it's a magical thing. Well, the same people who make this cause are the people who run the fucking pipeline.
Right, but
how does that relate to Marxism?
Well, what exactly? That's the question.
Now the greater ideas of socialism and Marxism, I didn't link those directly in that sentence. I'm just making a separate point about the greater ideas of like socialism and Marxism are really what's motivating a lot of the politics in the black community.
It could be
like you guys talked about black.
All right.
I'm sorry. I get what you. Go ahead.
All right, well, go ahead and finish that sentence. Don't take us back to China or Egypt.
I think a lot of times people get caught up in liberalism, progressivism, republicanism, planetarianism, and then they start saying Marxism, and really they're just spreading pedagogy of just fluff. Like if we're gonna say Marxism, connect the dots between Marxism and your point, but don't, because Marxism is an ideology, communism is an ideology, socialism is an ideology. Put them together and construct a system.
Well, the destruction of a family was fundamental to the implementation of Marxism, and this is written about by Engels. It's just not a conversation I think we want to have on a panel when they're trying to move on.
You kind of just threw it. You're just throwing them out. You're just throwing it out, and then some people will actually follow that and take that in part of their language, and then it just becomes.
I don't think he connected it, but he didn't connect it to the prison, the pipeline system. He was just using it as a point of reference.
No, but see, the same way. Hold up. The same way that we check shit when it's like conservative stuff that people just throw out. We need to check that on the other side as well, right? Because like E-Black said, I'm in full agreement with E-Black here, right? Socialism has an actual meaning. Marxism has an actual meaning, right? And you can't just throw it out there and just say, and just because it's generally accepted that we're just going to use these terms, right? Because that's when people stop taking you seriously, right? Because it's just like, oh, these guys just go socialism, and just like when these Republicans.
Where does critical theory come from?
You said what?
Where does critical theory come from?
You mean critical race theory?
No. Critical theory.
The original, homie.
Exactly. I know what I'm talking about. It seems to me you're behind the 8 ball.
What's your point, though? What's your point?
You don't understand the history that you're trying to actually prove I don't understand. These ideas have been documented. These are things that go back to what's called the Frankfurt School. Ideas, the basic notion is this. If you can take certain ideas and just deconstruct them to uselessness, and these ideas have sort of branched off in a different educational fields, but there's a there's a line you can connect from right now to different theories, different educational professionals, all the way back to something called the Frankfurt School, which came right out of Germany, which was a product of socialists. Like there's a whole history to the shit that black people are grossly unaware of, but we're motivated by it just the same.
All right. Do you know what I was before being conservative?
I have no idea about you, bro.
Communist, I think. Socialist.
Yeah, I was a Marxist-Leninist. That's why I actually anyway.
Brutalized by the.
So here's the reason why I actually wanted to challenge this for now, right? It's because a lot of people don't take black conservatives seriously because they see it in this manner, right? They see it where it's like people just start throwing words around, right? And I don't even want to, go down this route of the debate, but it's like this idea that, you just don't know the history, you just don't, and then you just don't throw words out, and somebody asks you a question and you can't really answer.
Are you telling any history?
He just gave you facts, bro. Like documented facts. That ain't throwing words around.
Have you refuted anything I said with an actual counter narrative? Exactly.
That's a negative, sir. Hey, Shannon, I had a quick question. You said Hollywood real quick, man.
Hey, we got to go to Brother Xavier before we.
Go ahead.
Just hold your thought on that. But shout out to Snuggles in the building. She says, "Can y'all please explain how immigrants are also might be traitors? And please do not pull punches because this dialogue is needed." I would recommend go back probably to a stream me and Ike did about do immigrants have a different mentality than Black Americans? Go dig that one up, and there's some streams around that one where we covered that and argued about that and did a lot of mudslinging about that. It was we've covered that, and we're not about to dig too deep.
Did you agree with that? Because
I agree with what?
As a first generation immigrant myself, first generation, that I have experienced that, and it's quite frustrating. It's very polarizing. So, I think that itself is a part of
I want to talk about it.
The racist ideology.
I don't care what the host just said. I just want to talk about it anyway.
I have had experiences with blacks, with Black Americans.
And I'm going to continue.
They say you're working for the man. Like these type of mindsets.
Listen. Okay, there's some people that make unfair arguments about immigrants. And put it like, let me just sum it up like this. You have to talk to the actual immigrant, and you'll find out that some of them have different views than others. There are some that fit every stereotype. There are some that look at us as hey, we all black and we in here together, and that's that. So it depends. It's individually based.
Yeah.
Just like it's some black men that are card carrying black male feminists, and there are some that are conservatives. And so it varies. It varies. I have encountered some who really looked down on Black Americans in the worst type of way.
Which like divisive. I agree.
Yeah, but I've met some that's super cool and down for the cause. So there's that. Anyway.
Just blacks are really saying that to the Trumps or the JFKs, and they're immigrants too.
All right. Shout out to SKC. He says, when was the last time? when was the last era that black men controlled the culture? When we was in Kemet.
Black Panthers.
Gina 789 says, Negro, we all been through some races, and our ancestors had it worse. Get some game so you can play ball.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
I don't like the pressure.
She's arguing the point where people are saying
and sometimes when I pull up a super chat, I don't know what part of the conversation she was that they be responding to, but it'd be out of nowhere. But she's even before she said that, she said, "Step our game up, change your mind frame, and do what you got to do to better your situation and help those behind you."
Help all them single mamas out.
I don't know exactly what you meant. When I think about helping those behind me, I think about growing a business and hiring some people and employing some people. I ain't thinking about, gotta help a lot of times when black women talk about community building and what are you doing to giving back to the community, they're not talking about what men are talking about. They're talking about what incentives and programs are being created to help enable them or make them more comfortable while being single mothers. That's what they're asking for. But we going to Brother Xavier. We going to Brother Xavier right now. Well, shout out to CJ NBM. Appreciate you. But without further ado, for the long-awaited patience, I don't know how he sat there for this long. But shout out to Brother Xavier.
From TV, media. Open your minds.
All right, you got the mic. Thank you for your patience.
Peace, Brother Bernard. I see all the heavy hitters up here. Brother Supreme up here. Goddamn, Brother Hoodservative is up here. Brother Trey and a couple other brothers that I have no idea who the hell you are. But of course, the brother Chet and Nate.
Hold up, man.
But yeah, I mean, when we do what we're doing right now, right? When we're analyzing or criticizing or making comparisons of black folk, right? Something that a lot of us do. And Brother Whitlock will soon find out, like we have all found out, that when it comes to criticizing black folk, especially when you zero and laser focus in on the black woman, what he's going to find out is that, people do not mind if you criticize black folk. They really don't. What they mind is if you criticize black folk and don't weave a little bit of how the white power structure and Jim Crow and racism and slavery, you gotta weave that kind, you got to interweave it into your criticism. You cannot make anything appear like whatever it is, you cannot make it appear like it's just self-inflicted. Even if it is, that's the thing. Even if it is self-inflicted, you must leapfrog over that, as Brother Carroll says. You must leapfrog over those things and find a way to give causation to the white man, his policies, his politics, his racism, his influence, his whatever. So he's going to find that out. But on the other side of that, there will be more brothers like Brother Whitlock who will be speaking this way. Why? Because this speaking, this tone, this verbiage has made its way into mainstream. Now, I don't know who you can credit that for. Maybe you could credit the people here for it. Maybe you could credit Brother Samuels for it. Maybe you could credit just a change in attitude and mind of black men for it. But there will be more. There will be more, and likewise, there will be more pushback on it. And I'll say this, and I'll shut the hell up. When it comes to racism, right? When it comes to bigotry and discrimination, all black men have seen it, heard it, felt it in some degree, whether it be big as a building or minute as a flea. We've all seen it. But I've always been of the mind that it's not about what happens to you, man, because shit happens to all of us. It's about what you do with what happens to you. That's all.
Man, I'll keep it a buck with you, X. I've only seen it from black people, bro. 46 years on this planet, I've never seen it from white people. The only shit I faced from white people was the shit I brought on myself, bro. And that was in the military when I was a fuck up. And when I was younger, getting in trouble. Yeah, I've never seen it. Only from black folks.
I've seen it from plenty of black
Never.
people. I don't know where you've been at.
Never.
Yeah. I mean, because make no mistake, that would let me just say this.
I'm a veteran.
That would imply that they were perfect, and there is nobody perfect. So maybe
ain't no perfect. It was show and prove. What is, bro?
I know what I'm saying. Maybe you're an outlier, Trey. So make no mistake. Everybody
based on race, action or race, character or race. What was it based? What was the vitriol based on?
Well, it depends. It depends, Trey. So, like when you was in the military, let's use that as an example, because I'm a combat vet, part of Black Hawk Down, the whole nine, right? I'm 49 years old. Like you said.
Okay, you was there with my homeboy, man. My homeboy went there at 18. We were supposed to go together, but I chose college. He went to 10th Mountain. He was one of the MPs out there.
10th Mountain, 10th Aviation Brigade. Anyway.
Okay, you might know him.
So let me ask you this, but herein lies what you said. Only racism you've ever experienced is from black people. You never really experienced it from white people. And even when you mentioned the military, it was only things that you discovered that was a problem was because you were a fuck up. But you telling me at no point during your military career did you get passed up? Did you get dogged out? Did you get duty? Did you get anything that was systemically, not necessarily written in the UCMJ, but was systemically because it was just a bunch of white people out there that just hated
Bro, I was
because you
infantry.
was black.
Bro, I was infantry, then I was a forward observer. Ain't none around white boys. I was in freaking 24th ID, 82nd in the cab, first 3rd ACR, first 3 units. Bruh, never. Only it was this. When I could jump out of planes, shoot motherfuckers in the face, blow shit up, run all day at night. You know the old Max 1156, I ran 1130. No issues, bruh. I'd fuck up. I'd do some dumb shit with the ex-wife, go out there, be late to PT, be late to formation, out there doing dumb shit with my homies. The motherfuckers will promote me.
Wait, Trey, let me ask you something. Let me ask you, and I want you to answer honestly. Wait, let me ask you, I need him to answer this honestly. Did you talk shit about niggas to them white boys too?
I don't talk shit about niggas, man. Why the fuck would I do that?
No, I'm just asking, bro. No.
Why?
Come on. I'm just saying we've seen black dudes who talk shit about black folks around white folks. So I was just asking. So let me just ask
everybody. Hold up, bro. When I was in the 5th Speed, dag on a little forward observer, 4 dudes. It was dag on two Puerto Ricans and a Mexican and me in there, and all the shit they talk back and forth was racism shit about each other, 24/7. 4 dudes in a box for hours on time, and all it was racism was funny. This was 98.
So, but I'm asking, did you talk shit about black folks or white boys? I'm just asking.
Hey, bro, I just smiled, man. I kept my mouth shut, man. I was doing other dirt, bro, in the service. This was before I woke the fuck up, man. There was no need to, man. You already had brothers doing the dumbest shit possible. And I just looked at them like, man, why the fuck is y'all doing that dumb shit? And then trying to go around and blame racism on it when no, it was you. Because when I owned it.
Is it possible you could be an outlier?
Fuck outliers, man. There's no outlier. It is. It's like, bro, Martin said a word. It's either going to be about character or race. Booker T said the same thing. Wait, but
listen what I'm saying. Listen, Trey. Have you ever heard the term?
David, you're not going to
wait, Trey. I'm gonna wait.
Go for it.
Have you ever heard the term when a person asks if the tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it make a sound, does it make a sound?
David,
That's actually arrogance.
David, I used to be
Right. No, let me break it down.
I was a pro-black back in the day, David.
I did blame it
on racism, David. I used to blame it on racism.
Wait. What I'm saying, listen what I'm saying about because you didn't experience it. I'm just dealing with that. I'm not even dealing with anything. Just the fact that you didn't deal with it. Wait, Trey. So what I'm saying is that's an arrogant test when a person asks that because we all know a tree when it falls, it makes a goddamn sound whether I'm there or not. So I don't have to say, well, I didn't hear it because I wasn't there to hear it, so it didn't make a sound. That's an arrogant test. You know it makes a sound. Wait. Let me. I'm gonna give it right,
David. Okay, David. 18 years, bro. I blame the white man for a lot of the shit that happened to me, bro, in the military. And then I rewound in my mind and said, you know what? Fuck that. It was personal responsibility. It was me. All the shit that went wrong, it was me. All the shit getting locked up and getting almost kicked out because of dealing with my ex-wife, I'm the one that chose to be with her. I'm the one that gave her chance after chance. I'm the one that didn't kick her to the curb when she caused me issues. doing shit at work that wasn't right.
So
that
Trey,
was on me,
Trey,
bro.
Trey. So by that definition, you're saying that everything that happened to us, it had to be something we did too. I'm not saying that if there were times. So you're saying that everything that's ever happened to every black man on this place, it was no other race, it was no racism at all. It was all something.
If you ran into
absolutes.
If you ran into a racist person,
he's saying it's impossible for it to have been a racist white person.
I was raised by the MPs by going to the PS.
If you ran into a racist person, white, yellow, pink, brown, whatever, it ain't systemic. You just ran into a motherfucker that don't like you.
Well,
guess what? There was a whole lot of.
We're talking about
because you got a whole lot of white boys.
Right.
Okay, so my man down there, 10th Aviation, bro. How many sergeant majors? The whole damn army is full of black sergeant majors and infantry units full of white boys. How the fuck does that exist? And you got up there the same white boys.
You talking about the non. You talking about.
Come on, bro.
So when you talk about non-commissioned officers and then you talk about officers, now switch it over to the officers.
I was an officer.
Okay, so what? So explain that. So you just explained all the NCOs.
I was an officer, bro. I got out. I came back in.
I got you. So here's my question: can you say the same thing about the commissioned officers?
Yes.
No.
Exact same, bro. Yes.
It wasn't like that at 10th Aviation.
Bro,
it wasn't like that at 10th Mountain.
Bro, you was in and when? 94. Black Hawk Down was 94, bro.
Yeah, I joined 91, got out in 90. No, Black was 93, 94. I did 2 tours. But
guess what? Motherfuckers did not like you. A whole lot of people did not like each other. I had niggas that couldn't stand me in there because I was different. I had niggas that couldn't stand me because I was from Virginia. Motherfuckers didn't want to fight because
Trey, how do you explain black men getting 80% more time than other races for the same crime? How do you explain that?
Hey, bro, they got priors. God damn, that's
I'm going on mute. Y'all got it.
I don't. Wait.
David, you guys just let him rock. You know what I'm saying? Like when you hear somebody talking like that in a fantasy.
Oh man, here we go. Another one of these little niggas. You was
I
a Marxist,
don't
bro.
think. Hold on. Wait.
Yeah,
Chill. Everybody chill. I don't think it's 80%, David. But I think, Pookie having priors in a public defender, that does increase the probability that he's going to get more time. But I don't think it's 80%.
Yeah, I might have put a little extra on it just to
okay.
But you get my point.
Hey, Shannon, real quick, man, on that whole thing when you was talking about Hollywood, man, because we were talking about culture and, all the differences between black men and black women. Officer Faulkner, he said that more black men are interested in family than black women. So my question to you is, when you were engaged in Hollywood as a black man who was married, did you find that Hollywood was interested in promoting strong black traditional families?
No, they weren't interested in promoting strong black anything. So I started. I made my first movie in 1999, and then became a film producer in 2004. I thought it was going to be cool. I was smarter than everybody in the room. Threw a whole bunch of my own money in, started making projects independently. Eventually got married, got my wife into Local 892, my first wife into Local 892, that's the Costume Designers Guild. Thought everything was going to be smooth sailing. Started hiring people to work for me because my office was at Sunset Gower Studios, which is right behind Paramount Studios. And so I was on Stage 5. I was next to the TV show called Dexter. I don't know if y'all remember that.
That was still one of my top 5 shows all the time.
Yeah, so my office was right next to Dexter's stage. Steve Harvey was around the corner. NCIS was down the hall. And I was doing my thing. And I'm this tall, 6'2", dark-skinned black guy that's in Hollywood around a whole bunch of Jewish people. And I didn't understand why certain projects was getting passed up, because you'd be at the commissary, you'd be on the lot. And I didn't understand why until one older guy came and explained to me how they discussed me within their circle. I guess he was kind of breaking rank to a degree and came and said, they just don't like you. And I'm like, well, what about, I'm paying my rent. I'm doing everything normal. I'm just here because I'm the kind of guy that just likes to make things happen. He's like, yeah, they don't like you just because they already think that you're a problem. I said, but I haven't met anybody. So why are these music videos? How come I can't go rent they had a fake airplane on set. I couldn't rent it out. It was always never available to me. Certain things, people at the gate, the security guards was treating me differently because of whatever they were hearing about Cinema Hill, the black guy over at Stage 5. So I would hire PAs. I'll give you an example. We would do a project. I would shoot music videos for like Keep the Sneak or whatever it was, a movie of the week for whatever. And I would hire young PAs, young white kids to come in and learn the game. Next thing I know, maybe 6 months later, these guys are directing $1 million projects. And I'm thinking to myself, how are they getting $1 million projects? And I've been running around Hollywood with 6 different scripts trying to push these projects to go through, and I'm getting passed by. I'm doing.
You didn't put on a dress, bro. Did you make a slave movie? Did you give them a slave script?
I didn't. And see, that's the thing about
there
it.
You
so
go.
I was always, because back then, you know, they had Baps and they had Soul Plane, and I was like, why we can't make more intellectually? Why? You know, I was one of the film producers that wanted to make more intellectually stimulating projects. Right? And later learned that was a problem. They didn't want to hear that kind of stuff. And that,
now why is that a problem?
Why is what part of the problem?
So far as making intellectually stimulating material
projects
in our project,
in
addition to the other black people who are there who already made it. Why is that a problem?
Again, you're talking about gatekeepers. You're talking about people who don't want. Somebody just asked me, were they interested in strong black families? And I said, no, they don't want. They're not interested in strong black anything.
Okay, so let me take it a little bit. So let me take it a little bit further, because I know a little bit of what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Why weren't the black people that are there interested in your projects as well? Because that's one thing that's not talked about. People will say, "Oh man, Hollywood," but then when you say, "Hey, why don't the black people that were there? Why weren't they interested in you?"
For the same reason why in the music industry we don't have our own distribution. For the same reason why people ask, like, "Why? How come Puff and Baby and Master P and all these high-powered brothers don't get together and create their own? You know, how come they don't make that? You know, how come Jay Prince and all the rest of them don't get together and make their own distribution?"
No, we saw what happened with Jay Prince and Suge Knight and
exactly same thing in Hollywood. So the people that I had, so the friends
wait, back up. Are you saying that somebody is stopping, because you named basically some billionaires around
y'all lag on.
You saying somebody
they said it, Bernard, Suge, Jay Prince, and Irv Gotti themselves said it.
So Bernard, I know
they were trying when they started trying to put that powerhouse together. All of a sudden, the feds hit them with cases. They said they had no cases.
It's
they
never
started talking about when they put them together.
Bernard, tread lightly, Bernard.
Hit them with cases on what?
Federal, just indictments.
Federal indictments on what? Are you saying that they did some shit?
No, they beat the cases. They actually didn't catch them doing anything.
But it stops the progress.
Exactly. Yeah. Once the feds get you, everything freezes. All your money's frozen. They did right around the time they was talking about doing that.
All they got to do is slow it down.
So somebody is stopping P. Diddy or Dr. Dre from doing something.
So here's the thing, Bernard. I know a lot of times it looks like there's a boogeyman. I know we talk and make it seem like there's some boogeyman knocking at the door saying you can't do this, but that's not the way it works. Suddenly, things happen to your business. Right. Suddenly things happen, and the IRS, suddenly you're being audited. It's like,
but I don't believe in coincidences and happenstance and chance. I don't believe in any of that. Everything is designed.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Go ahead, Shannon. Go ahead.
Hey, but here's the thing, Shannon. Everything that you're talking about, it's all, backed by the small hats, and the small hats and all them the lefties. They get dudes to the Marxists and these daggone folks to go out there and tear and burn shit up. And then what they do is they turn and point the finger. Oh, those black conservatives are a problem. Racism, all these other problems, versus my man Shannon. He just called out exactly what the problem was. I ain't going to repeat it, but he said it. I'm saying, Bernard, tread lightly if you want your channel to stick around for a while.
Okay, now Shannon.
Sorry. So just for the record, Trader MBD does believe in a lot of white supremacy and racism. Just
No. Good one, Bernard. Good one, I'm not talking about that, bro. This goes far past white. It's not white supremacy, bro. This is that conspiracy theory shit. The motherfuckers over here don't want to talk about.
But it's somebody you just said you to believe. It's somebody then.
Hey, he said it. Hey, he called it out.
He's trying to avoid saying
his first sentence. Right, his first sentence.
I understand he's trying to avoid saying. I know when he say small hats. I know.
Hey, JB, like I told you, he was talking out both sides of his neck.
So Shannon, my question to you then is this. Remember when we were having this conversation at the very outset and everybody was saying all this stuff about, oh man, we gotta get it together and the last bastion changing the culture and all this stuff. Okay, how is it that you can how can you change the culture when you have other black people who are gatekeepers, who are preventing the intellectual property of individuals like yourself that want strong black traditional culture to come out? How do you get it out there with them fighting you and you not calling them out?
So they're backed by money, and it's very difficult to do. And so, like, a question that was asked was, how come these guys don't get together? And the reason why is a lot of them are scared. They're afraid because of, again, once you get into the white and once you get into the house, but once you get this bread, you don't want to lose this bread. You don't want certain things to just pop up. So I guess the only way to combat it is to teach the young. Because sometimes,
now how can you teach the young if the young are going along with it because that is their popular culture?
Nah, the young kids now, I'm 49, so I grew up in the gangbanging era. We was banging in the 80s and the 90s. The kids now kind of don't give a fuck. I think the kids now are a little bit more ruthless, and not necessarily, damn sure more vocal, but I don't think that they're getting along the way we got along back in the 80s and the 90s. So now, unfortunately, they're trying to feminize. I believe that they're trying to feminize. I live right off of Crenshaw Boulevard, off near Slauson, and they always I look at the billboards. I'm like, damn, why are these billboards only speak? I don't see this shit never in West Hollywood. I don't see it in Beverly Hills. I don't see it nowhere on the West Side. But over here on Crenshaw, I got all this stuff that's out here that seems like it's feminizing black men. So I think they're indoctrinating us in that capacity. But I think
very much
today,
so.
I think the young brothers and sisters of today ain't taking it. They kind of don't give a fuck. They kind of like are very vocal, and they're stepping up and speaking in ways that I don't think we spoke as kids. And so if we can give them the game that we weren't given or wasn't willing to take when we were listening to Africa Bambaataa and KRS-One and all of them, then I think things have changed in the future. And I think that's the only solution we have now. It's too late for people in my Generation X. I'm a Generation X.
Right. Could you give an example of some of those young people?
He's right, man. Because when you talk about Hollywood and you talking about narratives that can't be put out there by people with money, right? And whether they're a billionaire, trillionaire, whatever they are, they have enough money to do it. But obviously something's keeping them from doing it, right? Now we can call that whatever we want to call it. But I think we're missing something here. What we're missing is that what they give people, the crap that you do see on media, the crap that you do see on television and shows and from other black producers who are in the door and do have access to studios and distribution, what you're seeing is what black people want. They want to see the Tyler Perry crap. They want to see the black exploitation crap, all right? They don't want a brother like this down here in the center on this last row. They don't want him doing something that's going to educate black folks, enlighten black folks. No, they don't want to see any of that because you can just look at what's here. If all of us up here get to fighting and arguing and throwing ad hominems and calling each other's bitch ass niggas, these numbers will rise through the roof. But let us get up here and start talking about flipping real estate. Let us get up here and start talking about hiring brothers. Let us get up here and talk about sending brothers to areas where they can get an education, where they can get a job, where they can get something done in their life, where they can invest in their life, invest in stocks, invest in bonds, saving money, doing those type of things. You'll have 50 people in the goddamn audience. So what they're doing is they're giving black folks what they want. This is what black people want. People want to continue to watch Medea and the Real Housewives of Atlanta and all this other kind of nonsense. A bunch of gays kissing crap like
right.
that. This is what we want. So
because that's what the culture trends towards. That's what the culture is.
They was begging me to produce reality TV shows. You know what was landing on my desk? Reality TV. I was partnering with a good friend of mine, Kenya Moore, before she jumped on. They were hitting us with all kind of reality TV projects, and I was like, I don't want to do reality TV. You know, I was cool with I forget the name of the TV show from MTV where they had all them kids living in the house together. I was like, that's real. That and Cops. What was it?
Real World.
The Real World. The Real World and Cops. I said that's the extent of my reality TV experience. I don't want to make no more of that. But the reality TV was on the cusp. It was coming out big. This is 2006, 2007. They wanted all those kind of projects, and every one of them made us look like a fool. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. But how about we do this crime drama? I got a crime drama idea about some people that's coming out of the hood in Compton that can come up and make big money and move to Hollywood and then do something for. They didn't want to hear none of that. Those scripts never went nowhere.
Wait, hold on, wait. You saying you pitched them a movie that was a crime drama with black male leads in it?
Yeah, that turned into something positive. They wasn't shooting. Wait
a minute. How positive we talking? Because I mean, there are crime dramas.
But the men were masculine, probably, Bernard.
And he's not talking about dudes shooting each other and doing all sorts of
I ain't talking about state property. I ain't talking about state property and a bunch of motherfuckers in the club popping bottles and busting. I ain't talking about Belly. I didn't want to make.
I understand that you not. No, there are such things as crime dramas where the lead detective is played by, I don't know,
Ice-T.
I mean, Denzel Washington has played cops and detectives and stuff like that in movies. Like some of the stuff we'll be talking about, it actually exists. I mean, but
Bernard, Denzel isn't marketed to the community.
Yeah. And how many of them are winning Emmy awards? What I'm saying is, by and large, even those projects that you mentioned wasn't controlled by us. None of us was in control, and it was always shared with some white co-star.
Yeah, I was trying to reel off some movies in my head that was black and
only
black people was depicted like Creed popped in my head. I mean, that was a strong black male lead. He was family oriented, you know, and everything. If you look at Creed too, but again, he's sharing the screen with Sylvester Stallone. So
right, you know, and from the Sylvester Stallone filmography. You know, from that franchise.
Remember the leaked documents with Sony when Sony said, you know, like something like we don't think this movie would be profitable.
007.
Yeah, if we star a black person only, we have to star someone like a white person.
That when that email got leaked out.
To me, okay. I mean, listen, we don't like to hear it, but that actually kind of makes sense, seeing as black people is a small minority, and if it's a black actor who only draws black audiences, and it's not some black actor who like right now, Michael B. Jordan is to the point where I think he's big enough to where white people happily come see him. Like they could star him in a movie and be comfortable that he's going to sell just as much as a white actor. So we do got to look at demographics like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got Black Panther. I mean, so things are coming around. Don't get me wrong. Remember, I'm speaking 20 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
20 years ago. I'm speaking pre-Black Panther. I'm speaking before Stan Lee came out there and said, this is what you're doing, and I'm spending my money. I'm speaking before those days. I'm talking about the days where...
Now, Shannon, there's a point that I think is being overlooked in this as well. Because when you talk about modern day, now there are a bunch of, I would say, movies like you were just stating. But when I was talking about having enemies within your own camp, why is it sidestepped when it's shown that you'll have characters? Take for instance, like the whole Black Panther thing, where black women are coming in to feminize the stuff that you're trying to create.
Yeah,
but right in your own camp. That has nothing to do with white people.
Hey, can we really go back to Creed for a minute? Man, that was Apollo Creed's bastard son given up by his baby mama, and then his wife had to go get him and raise his illegitimate son. Well, we really gonna overlook that?
No, yeah, it was a rocky start. No pun intended, but it was a rocky.
I thought he didn't know about it. The father, Apollo Creed.
No, Apollo Creed didn't know that he died not knowing he had a bastard son.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying though. They showed Apollo Creed was the player with the Himalayas kids everywhere.
I mean, of course, you know. He was the biggest boxer, biggest superstar on earth. Okay, he got some pussy every now and then, no big deal. But overall, you know, Adonis Creed, that was a strong black male lead, and he was, you know, family oriented and everything. You know, if you watch Creed 2, and so I mean, that was a strong, positive, you know, black male image on the screen.
But then you turn around and go to the TV shows like Empire. So I mean,
there's that.
Or look at a show like The Shy, where there is no strong black, like all the brothers in there, either weak, emotional, single, or just crooks. Like, I mean, and let's be honest, can we honestly say that the fact that we can only probably count on one hand, maybe two, if we're lucky, how many actual positive black male roles are out there? I mean, is that not a sign?
Here's the problem. Hold on, wait a minute.
You know, you mentioned Denzel, but then you mentioned Training Day, but then what character did he play?
Here's the thing. Listen. A happy-go-lucky, positive movie doesn't sell as much. It don't really even work like that. I don't think so with white movies. It's about is it a strong black male lead? Was he a dummy? And did he show strength? Like for example. I used this example before when we was kind of talking about this. Will Smith in I Am Legend. He was a scientist who was smart enough to figure out the cure for the disease, and he was also the badass walking around out there with the gun, shooting them down.
Right, but that's a handful, Bernard. That's a handful.
And they made sure his ass died.
And they both
died a hero. Goddamn it, he died a hero.
Because we can go to Pursuit of Happiness. I like that was another positive movie of a man and his son going to find
They
God.
won't make him anymore.
It's all,
They won't make him anymore.
It will. It's
I want to see him.
It's always Will Smith and Denzel. Now Chadwick Boseman, he was moving into that territory as well, to where he could play a universal role like that, where white people come see it, and you know it's all good.
But look at James Brown. They had him slapping women downstairs and shit.
Well, okay, if James Brown was slapping women down the stairs, then it is what it is.
Man, bring Rudy Ray Moore, bring Dolomite back.
When we get strong enough, we can take those roles. You know, we mentioned Denzel. We talk about how he won his Oscar, right? So you say things like Denzel won the Oscar being a cricket cop, right? But then when you get to a certain point, look at Denzel doing The Equalizer and the Equalizer franchise. You know what I'm saying? Where he's exactly what we're talking about. He's the only lead. He's a brother, and he's doing what he's doing. And it's positive in that sense. He's no different than goddamn Jason Bourne, right?
And then what they do when they put it on TV? What did they do when they put it on TV? On
they made a chick, they gave it to Latifah.
A baby mama.
I'm not gonna even strip. I'm just saying, take for instance, Shannon. You take for instance those people you just stated, and then you look at somebody like the dude that played Luke Cage. All right. Okay. Okay. He got this thing. Great series, everything. Black writers, the whole nine. Showing the culture and all this stuff. He gets on TV for an interview. Black women shoot him down. Why? Oh, his wife is white. I'm just saying, I mean, it's like you can't fight wars like that and change culture. We have individuals inside your camp that will fight you over minute stuff.
Yeah,
that has nothing to do with it.
We have to admit that what the guy said, it was like she was down for him, so he was kind of considered like a lame back then, but she was down for him when he was struggling. So, you know, people kind of ignore that fact.
And a lot of times they write it because they want to make it relatable to
like David and others when they were saying this whole thing about, oh man, down for our people and you know our women. It's like your women don't care. If you put something
no, listen, SKC, they ain't my women. Listen, anybody that's a traitor, it's not my people.
To even get out there and they're willing to just cut it down over something just minute. Good grief.
Hey, SKC, you better be quiet because you get issued your VW. Remember Taraji said, we coming to take our men back. SKC, you better get ready. Tell Miss SKC she got to give it up because you're getting issued a black wife.
Shannon, I have a question.
Wait. Let me ask y'all something. Let me ask y'all something. Does everybody?
Before you go there, because you're gonna take it to somewhere else. I don't want to take. I just want to add into that because I took an African American films class, and then what do you guys think about like the characters, like the salt and pepper routine, the Sambo, the black buck? You know, Shannon, what do you feel? Do you think that still exists in Hollywood today? Those top six.
It does still, they still make them. Yep, they still the Sambo, the slave movies. They still make them. I'm sick of them. I'm tired of them. I think we're a lot more. We have a lot more range than that. You know, but when Jamie Foxx wins an Oscar, what does he win it for? You know what I'm saying?
Django.
Right. So he got to be Django. So my thing is.
Wait, no. He didn't win it for Django. Jamie Foxx won it for Ray.
Oh, okay.
And he was nominated for something else. I can't remember what.
I think it was Django. Maybe I'm.
But they had Ray. I mean, not that Ray was a lot better. Ray was a junkie. He was.
I could be told
Jamie Foxx get his start. How did Jamie Foxx blow up?
Jamie's my guy.
How did Jamie Foxx win that for Django? He got nominated for that one movie with Tom Cruise.
Yeah, okay.
He got nominated for best supporting actor.
He wore the dress. Hitman.
He didn't wear a dress in that movie.
He wore the dress.
No, he was like the taxi cab driver, and Tom Cruise was like a his start on In Living Color. He wore the dress. Oh, and that was back in the day, and that was comedy, and it was black produced. So I mean,
he reaching. But I say that's a reach. That's a reach, Trey. Hey, but he did. He gave it up. He did good.
Shannon, can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. You know what? It was NAACP awards that he won with for Django. I got it mixed up because I get all these awards. But go ahead, I'm listening.
I know Tyler Perry's work is kind of it kind of plays in stereotypes, but considering what he has done in terms of like building his own studio, I think that's kind of like progress, like as an inspiration for like upcoming black talent. Because
I think Tyler Perry is the ultimate troll. I think Tyler Perry is the ultimate troll.
I had a problem. Tyler Perry didn't like me. So in 2008, we shot a movie in Atlanta. Our entire production crew flew out to Atlanta to shoot a project, and Tyler Perry came on set, and he had an issue with me. And for a long time, I didn't like Tyler because of the little exchange that we had on set. It was at a hospital back in.
Hey, you gotta tell us about this shit.
12 years, right?
What you were telling? Hey, hold on, wait. When you and him started arguing, and you like. In midway,
we didn't argue. It wasn't a big old battle like that. But
okay, I just could see your mid argument. I can see your mid argument going into Madea voice and then snapping back into Tyler Perry voice.
Tyler's solid. I didn't like him for a long time, and then of course with the stereotypical movies that Tyler's always been associated with black struggle and black men always hurting the black woman, and it's always some kind of relate. But then he employs a lot of people, and then watching him come along and doing what he's doing, and the way he has to do it. See, a lot of people blame him,
especially where he came from.
A lot of people blame Tyler because it's like, man, you got the power to do such and such, such and such. Tyler has to navigate a power bigger than him. Distribution is where it's at. It's not necessarily production. Production and making projects is one thing. Distributing them to the world is a whole different beast. And that's where we don't have much power. So we can create all the record labels we want. We can make all the film studios. We can buy acres and acres of land and make all the projects. But when the final project is ready to get distributed to the world, who do we have to go to? So when I learned that.
Wait. Let me get it. And that's where I was going, bro. I'm gonna piggyback right off of that because I was gonna ask earlier. Do brothers on the panel? Do you guys subscribe to Monopoly being real, or you think it's just a board game?
Oh, it's definitely real.
Real as fuck.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was in 1960 something. I remember I was reading about Charlie Parker and how they used to have licenses. You have to have a license to actually perform your music, and that's like another form of how they kind of like flatten the curve on black music in terms of jazz. So there's it's always been a gambit. The gambit has always been set in terms of all industry, even the cannabis industry. What you're watching right now is that the bigger players are starting to take hold of the land, and now we're gonna be locked out of that if we don't get into farm ownership, or at least land ownership, or licensing, like things like that is gonna.
Yeah. So Shannon, as you were saying with Tyler Perry,
Well, no, I was just saying. So it was. I had a problem, but I was young and I didn't know any better. And Tyler was way ahead of me. He knew way more than me. He understood the game better than I did, and I was coming from an emotional state as opposed to a logical one. And it took me some years to gain some wisdom to realize where Tyler was coming from. And so since then, I've gained a lot of respect for him because I realized that the waters he had to navigate, and I had to navigate them myself because after we came back from that project, I shut down my studio in 2009 at Sunset Gower based on the stuff that I knew that Tyler had to navigate. So while people don't like him, maybe because they see the outside part, that brother has to, he's working a whole system that's against him that people have no idea. And it's a very powerful system that's against him just to get these projects out. And so I appreciate him and I like what he's doing. And I haven't been to Atlanta in the last few years, but I know, I haven't been at his studio either, but I know his studio is big. I know he's empowering and promoting Black people on a level that you won't see anywhere else in the country. So he gets all my respect, and I was for fucking even having a problem with him 15 years ago.
I definitely respect his story, like coming from nothing. Like he's a perfect example of if you put your mind to it, do it. Is he a bootstrap?
He had a really hard life. So if his story serves as inspiration, you know, he's a billionaire and he has all that.
Tyler Perry, a bootstrap. But see, here's the thing.
Yes,
so let's talk about the racism part.
SPC asking a good question. It's he's kind of trolling, but at the same time, it's still a really good question. That yes, Tyler Perry counts as a bootstrap nigga. Yes.
Yes, he's a bootstrap. But here's the thing. So if somebody was to ask Tyler Perry, then do you experience racism? Look at what he's accomplished. Look how far he's gone. And this is to you, Bernard. Should Tyler be able to say, nah, man, I'm not really experiencing racism. Look at me, I'm living, I'm doing what I want to do, where I want to do it, how I want to do it, when I want to do it, and I'm empowering other people to do the same thing. Racism doesn't really affect me.
No,
or can we say where he's come from has affected him, and he's had to navigate these waters to get to where he is, but he can still claim racism is real.
He can say racism. He can say racism exists because there's racist people. So he can say yes, racism exists, but I kicked it in the nuts, and I created something to where I'm going to make it to where it plays a really small part in my life right now, and I'm gonna make it to where it plays a smaller part in more Black people's life. It's going to always exist because there's always going to be racist people. There's no way around it.
Why can't he call out who the true racists are? Why can't Tyler Perry call out who the true racists are? Shannon? No, I have a question for Shannon. Why can't he call out who the true racists are? You said who they are, Shannon. Why can't Tyler Perry just come on TV and say, these are the people that held me back right here? Politics.
That leads to how come Oprah didn't? How come Bill Cosby did? Because when you add, there's always a bigger fish, and sometimes in order to help the masses, in order to help 10,000 people, sometimes you got to kind of like play along and get along so these 10,000 people can help. Because if you go out there and you call
because they have a monopoly on it
and they'll shut your whole shit down. You'll have all of a sudden you got shit. They fucking eminent domain is coming and taking your property in the state. You wondering where this shit is coming from? What's going on? And now 10,000 people, 100,000 people are now hurting because this person over here wanted to do the right thing and open their mouth. Sometimes it's better to play the war game quietly under.
Last thing before I take off, Bernard, thank you for letting me up. But that's why you got people like Oprah and all these other Black millionaires up there talking about, oh, we've been oppressed, racism, this, and the other, because the people who are really in charge are telling them to say that. They have to say it.
I disagree with that. I don't think they're telling them to say that at all.
Oh,
I don't think you have to tell Black people to say that they are oppressed. Like that, like we love that shit. We love being oppressed. We grab the whip and
but you get what I'm just saying.
Back with that motherfucker.
No, but Trey,
what Shannon just said.
But Trey, one of the rules of the game, they tell them avoid racial conversations, avoid political, avoid religion conversations. They're told to avoid those conversations
unless it's a certain direction. Who are they pointing the finger at? They can't point the finger at who the real problem is. They got to make up all these other things. Oh yeah,
You got to acknowledge this conversation.
There's a lot of times the moment you start doing that, I mean, look at Dame Dash, right? So let's use Dame Dash as an example. One who has who has no filter, right? You know, I know Dame, so he has no filter. He'll tell whoever the fuck, wherever the fuck, how he feels. It's weird to see in person, right? I mean, you guys see it. If you guys haven't met him, it's one thing that you see on the internet and on Dusko Poppington on his, but it's another thing to see it in real life. That brother is for real, but at the same time, look at the struggles he always goes through. And it's like that, and it's like, damn, how come you going through these problems, but this person over here ain't going through it? Because I'm the only one that's talking shit. This one over here just can't.
Show me any honest person that's not attacked. Show me any person that's honest, consistent, that's not attacked.
I've unearthed another potential contradiction here. On one hand, it's being said that, no, you can't call them out. You can't say nothing about them being racist because they will shut you down. But these same people who green light the movies, what kind of black movies do they green light? Black movies that show white people being racist. So clearly they don't have that much of a problem with displaying the racism that white people enact on black people. They love making movies like that.
That's the made up part. They got to point a finger. Bernard, they have to point a finger at the boogeyman. You keep on laughing. You keep laughing. That's the boogeyman.
It's a progression, Bernard. It's a progression. So in one breath you say, yeah, man, you can't point these people out because they'll shut all your shit down. But then the projects that are getting green light,
you can make a movie showing how racist they are.
Right, but then it's not only that. It's not only that, because then the next thing you know, you get like I mentioned earlier, Stan Lee. Next thing you know, you got a Black Panther movie comes out, and it's number one, and it's killing the box office, and it's making people say, well, hold on, what's going on? The next thing you know, you got George Floyd, and so a lot of people is starting to wake up. It's a progression. It's not going to happen overnight, and it may not happen.
And let me say this, Let me say this right quick. Wait, and they're not. And listen, you look stupid. Like, if let's say I got a system in place that I'm actually biased. You'll be able to tell that if I don't give you a few W's. I have to give you some wins, otherwise you'll be at a point like we never have a win. It's gonna look obvious if I never give you a win. So I throw in a few wins so I can always go, well, look, I gave you a win right there. We're not racist. But that's why they do it.
It's not racism, bro. It's not racism. They just using black people as the scapegoat.
Whatever words you want to use, whatever words y'all want to use.
We're not saying that all white people are racist. We're saying that some white people have racist tendencies. So even in organizational building, you can go to white companies and progressive companies, and they will give you money. So it's not a bastardization of the whole entire race. It's just saying, hey, when you go behind the curtain door, you're going to run into 9 out of 10, or 8 out of 10, or 6 out of 10. You might get half of what you fully should be wanting. That's kind of the conversation. Is that
listen. Wait. And listen. If I'm the guy in charge, this is how I know. One of the ways I'm able to always figure out what my enemies, opposition, competitors, whatever term you want to use, with tomato. One of the things I always look at is. What I always look at is, would I do that? What would I do? If I was trying to control it, make it where my people would dominate, what I first wouldn't do is I wouldn't let other people be able to have positions of power. I would keep them on the outside, let them get something, because you can't have a happy slave if you just got him working for nothing. So you give him a little stuff, you give him a little incentive to feel good, but I'm gonna keep him on the outside because this is the way I keep my people in control of it. That's how I think. So I think I couldn't have just made that up. So I'm quite sure there are people who are from other races or other groups who think the same way.
Well, here's the thing, David.
I have a question to Shannon, and also what I said was racism. I think it's more so with economics, and with Black Panther, for example, it has showed that if you put like a black square on screen, it's going to get some money, it's going to generate money, so now they're more open to it. But I wanted to ask Shannon, considering with the changes in the Hollywood industry, how are you noticing any changes, particularly with China, because they're becoming more and more powerful within that industry, also within the buying power? Are you noticing?
Yeah, but not here in America, in Africa particularly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the continent of Africa, in the colonization, if you ask me, of what they're trying to do over there, China's not really into Hollywood like that, and they're not. They don't because it's a communist state, and they make sure people watch exactly what they want to watch, so they can just see whatever the fuck they want to see. I don't even think they have YouTube in China. So
well, they have Weibo, I think, but they kind of dictate, like, for example, like how they want it,
Hollywood shit,
or how they want, or they said they didn't want Joker within their screens because it promoted like anarchy.
Right.
Exactly. So I'm wondering if it's kind of shaping up Hollywood and it's kind of affecting the big players.
No, not over here. Not that I've seen personally. Not that I've experienced. And mind you, remember, I'm in fashion now, so I'm not. So my Hollywood connects are usually just my friends that are still in that business. In the events that I go to, or whenever they're having something going on. I'm not really making projects anymore. I'm more so making clothes. But from my distant observation now, and from my experience when I was in it, there was not really an impact one way or the other when it came to China and Hollywood.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything there now. I can't speak on what's happening in the continent because films are coming out of Africa, different from Ghana and Nigeria and South Africa.
On Netflix is pretty good.
Yeah, they're making a lot of better They couldn't do that before because before all they had was a fucking handy cam and a mini DV cam. They didn't have the technology.
I've seen some Nigerian movies. They don't count.
But the shit but the movies that are coming out of the continent of Africa now are real because of the proliferation of technology and the access to stuff. They're making stuff a lot better today. Now, does China have any impact on that? I can't speak to, but I would probably assume yes.
So Bernard,
I just did an interview. Wait, hold on. Go ahead, JB.
Yes, I wanted that a quick point. I wish David hadn't dropped off, but basically, I wanted to make a point about even the idea of systemic racism, right? Let me give you a real world example. So LeBron James' agent, Rich Paul, right? Very successful, very smart brother. Okay, very successful, very smart. He actually has been able to get some of these brothers some of the best contracts possible, etc. Right? Mm-hmm. And after he's achieved all the success, what does the NCAA do? They decide that they're gonna basically institute a set of policies, a new set of policies that basically, even though the policies don't specifically, like the policies don't say anything about black or skin color, whatever, right? But the policy it became so clear. It was so clear that the policy was specifically targeted at making it impossible for him to do his job that they started calling it the Rich Paul rule. Okay, that they start calling it that, right? That's the point where this is why I think a lot of times when I hear these brothers,
didn't he beat that though? I'm just curious.
But the only reason that they reversed that was because there was so much because it was so obvious, right? But it's not always that obvious. It's not always that obvious where when people are like, well, look at the laws. Are the laws that different for you guys? No, the law don't have to be different. Like the policy doesn't state anything about black or white. But it was so clear. It was so clear that he was the only one targeted by this new policy that they called it Rich Paul rule. So we can't live in this world where we just pretend like this stuff is a fantasy.
Yeah, it applied to nobody else. We didn't have the internet.
So I'm not saying you should let it hold you back, because guess what? Rich Paul is still kicking ass, right? Yeah. You should not let it hold you back. You should still do your thing. And in fact, even before they decided to reverse it, Rich Paul's pretty much made it clear, like, hey, I'm not backing down, which is what you're supposed to do, right? But it was still obvious that they were trying to use a system, which is the NCAA, right? They were trying to use a system to prevent this brother from continuing to be as successful as he is. He's literally negotiated billions of dollars worth of contracts, right? And you can't just ignore that. You can't just dismiss that point and just like, what did he do to fuck that up?
Okay, so JB, my question to you I'm just asking to you, how does that affect you?
What? Trickle down, no?
I mean, how does that affect you?
And JB, how does what you just described with LeBron James's agent, how does that affect you personally?
How does that affect me personally? I'm just trying to understand why you asked me that question though.
Well, I think.
Well, let SKC explain why you asked the question. Go ahead, SKC.
Well, why I ask is because a lot of times when situations like these pop up, the immediate answer to it is, see, this is
some part of this racist system and such to keep us black men down and that's not okay. I understand what you're saying.
But that's not what I said, by the way.
I understand. Okay. It was designed to keep him down, right? Him as an individual, right?
Yes, it was,
okay.
Yes.
Okay, so how does that have to do with greater black men in general?
So do you want me to now think in a collectivist mindset?
Because I can kind of answer that, but go ahead.
Well,
because
Master P
because you brought it up as a collectivist mindset.
No, I didn't. I brought up a point to showcase because you guys, well, I don't want to say you guys, but there are some folks on this panel here who are trying to pretend as if, you know, racism is not real, or that
you brought it up as a
racism is not real.
This happened to this guy, and therefore you should have some question. Let me answer the question.
Let me answer the question. Right? There are certain people on this panel that were basically trying to make it seem like racism is not a real thing. That's a clear-cut example of racism to the point where they reversed that shit so quickly because everybody saw exactly what it was for what it was. Right? So you can't just dismiss that. Right? And it's an example. You can't. So I can't just. Every example doesn't have to directly apply to me. So I'm not sure that's just a silly question to ask me.
Okay. Well, what I'm saying is when there's a lot of general statements that are made when people say, like, take for instance this example of this guy here, this the sports agent guy. Who was everybody that saw it, and how did everybody change the minds of the NCAA?
I mean, there was enough players. And LeBron James himself, I believe Shaq has some.
So other millionaires spoke out about it, right?
There are tons of people who spoke about it. I'm just giving you examples, yes.
But yeah, people high up.
What you're talking about is other millionaires with power.
It was more than just
spoke about it, right?
It was more than just millionaires. It was a lot of people were speaking about
it. But in general, I think I see where you're going.
Everybody here understands that it didn't matter about these small, minor people that was talking. The individuals that made the change were the millionaires that spoke out.
All right, then they flexed. I think what SKC is saying, at least this is what I'm getting from it, is they flexed their black power and got the result that they wanted, right? That's what I'm getting.
No, I think he's saying that it was money people fighting for money people, it had nothing to do with really the layman and the regular folk out here. You know, that's like rich people problems is what he was using as an
example. You're trying to equate it down to the average everyday black man, which it has nothing to do with whatsoever.
I think no, that's not what I was trying to do. See, this is the disingenuous right now. That's absolutely not what I was trying to do. I was taking an example of systemic racism, right? When people say systemic racism is not real, this is a clear-cut example of it. Now, you can talk about class. That's a different topic, right? Those two things can exist at once. So you're talking about class. I'm not saying that class is not a real thing. That yes, there are absolutely. Hold up.
It was a money thing,
bro. Listen. Class is a different topic. Those two things can exist at once. If that's what you're saying, that's a class issue. I can understand that. But this is this is also still a clear-cut case of systemic racism. It just failed. It just happened to have failed.
I have this is why I got a problem with the term systemic racism. If the person or persons, I'm assuming it was bare minimum a group of 3 people that made the decision to change that rule. If the people who work to get in those positions happen to not be racist, then that rule would not have been changed. But the person who worked to get in that chair happened to be racist, so he did something racist. So that's why I have a hard time when people say systemic racist.
Bernard, he didn't just do something racist. He used a system to do it. That's the point here. Is that the NCAA is a system, right? It sets a set of policies that everybody has to follow. They don't have a choice. They have to follow it. So once you use that system, because he could just be racist. I don't mind if you're just racist. You're not having any impact. That's one thing. But you're now using this.
When you got the finger that can push the button, that's where the systemic part comes in.
Yeah, I know, but it's still the individual. It's always individual. He could have been a racist guy who just worked at Office Max, but just happened to be racist guy, moved his way all the way up to where he's a major mover and shaker. And then so yes, he can abuse power in that sense. So yeah, that's how systems can get racist. Systems can be racist. But see, this is my problem. whenever we start talking real hard and tough about systemic racism, it ends up being a situation where now I got to bring up the situations where some company got busted practicing their systemic racism. They had to pay out billions of dollars in lawsuits and all kinds of stuff. So I'm like, so how is this country systematically racist if when we catch them being systemically racist, we can sue them and take millions, if not billions of dollars from them? It's like, how do we live in a system of white supremacy if when they get caught being white supremacists, they can be sued and get money taken from them?
So for the record, Bernard, I'm not even using. I'm not using that white supremacy line.
Okay, so, fair enough.
For the record, I don't believe in that bullshit, right? But my point, I'm just saying, my point is more so this, and let me actually answer your question, right? Yes, you're correct that when they get caught, right, you can sue them. There's a lot of things that can go on. They can get the backlash, etc. And
wait, hold on, time out. I'm sorry, I shouldn't even be interacting with the chat. But the few people saying that I didn't make no sense. I can show you actual companies who got their ass handed to them in court because it was proven that they was doing some racist stuff for years, and they got their ass handed to them and had to shell out millions of dollars.
Sure. So yeah. Well, that's
what I was referring to. That's facts. So that actually happened.
That actually happens all the time.
The issue that I think flies over the head. The first thing is, Bernard, there's several parts of this. The first thing is a multi-billion-dollar, a lot of times, here's one of the issues, is a lot of times, if you're like a multi-billion-dollar company and, the government or some court, fines you, I don't know, like $10 million, right? That's just the cost of doing business for a multi-billion-dollar company, right? That's basically like a tip at a restaurant for you and I, right? So what I'm trying to make is that a lot of times these fines and this stuff, it may seem grand because you're looking at the number, but you don't realize, like, to that company, right, to them that amount of money is meaningless. But to your point, though, yes, they get caught. When they do get caught, there is some backlash from that. But the point is, they got caught doing something, and that something that they were doing is what we're describing here. Now,
I guess the difference between so if somebody hold on, wait a minute. I guess I was responding to a different point then, because when people say this country is systemically racist, and then some company uses their system to do something racist, they get caught, they get sued, and now they got to shell out money, and people get fired, and their whole system crumbles. Then that means you can't exactly say the country was. You could say what AC is saying. It proves that they had a system of racism. Yes, somebody can build a company. Wait a minute. Somebody can build a company, and if the people that's high up in that company are racist, they can enact some racism. Thing is, it's against the law, so they can get sued for it. So you can't say that the country is racist. You can say the doom motherfuckers over there that built that one company, they was racist as shit, and they got their ass handed to them for it. All right, go ahead.
But that's like actually saying that, Bank of America, when they were doing or Wells Fargo, when they were doing their...
That's the company I was thinking of. Thank you.
Yeah,
Wells Fargo.
Yeah, Wells Fargo was going through their little situation that they weren't a part of the system, but it actually was a trickleization down to the branch levels. But everybody's fine with it as long as it's only affecting African Americans or minorities.
Well, they offered everybody those. Well, actually, Wells Fargo wasn't the one I was thinking of, but really, they offered everybody those loans. Black people signed the damn document more than everybody else.
But no, what they were actually doing was they were actually like in the background signing them up for credit cards and not giving them to them. It was a big class action thing.
Okay, yeah.
They were signing them up for checking accounts. The checking accounts were then getting overdrafted. They were trying to.
These people didn't know they had a checking account.
Yeah.
Was it race based or based on social class? Like they would do it to poor people in general.
Let me look it up. But they were doing something really shady. But it was based on
You're correct.
So Bernard, when you hear people say, that's one of the points that I think that I think that's one of the points that people gloss over in these conversations when it comes to these million and billion-dollar companies. So what happens when you have one company
that gets over on another company or whatnot, or a company that gets over on some, I don't know, some corn farmers in South Dakota or something like that. It's like there's no thing that comes up and say, these people, this company was racist. They just said, no, this was just a dirty company trying to get as much money as they could from the lower dude. But whenever it has to involve with black people, you instantly go to, oh, it was racist.
I just can't wait for all of our millionaires and billionaires that we got. They really need to. Start exploiting people. I mean, it's like, okay, never mind.
I think Robert is coming up.
We got people like Byron Allen.
Hold up. People always put racism in the community. People always put racism first before people just trying to exploit people for money.
No, so okay, XAC, those are two different things though. Here's the problem. Or actually there's some overlap. Here's the problem, XAC, which
like the idea that you came up with the agent. Why couldn't that not have been the NCAA was seeing, damn, we wanted a lot of money for this dude because he didn't figure out a way how to get around our little system, and we need to put some stuff in place so we can make our money back. Why couldn't it have just been that? Why do you have to throw in the whole thing?
Hold up. It's interesting that you want it to be something different so bad.
I don't want it to be anything. But it sounds like it's saying we just, you can't even consider that it could be something else.
But I know it could be something else. That's my point. I know things could be something else.
The words that you were using was obvious.
Let me make my point. You got to talk
over each other. It's hard to.
Go ahead.
I know that I'm not the guy that's gonna go around and call everybody fucking racist just because something is not fair or any of those things. That's not the point. The point is there are cases where this is a clear-cut case. I gave you a clear-cut example. I didn't just throw something up in the air. This was a clear-cut case. This is a settled issue, right? The issue with Rich Paul is settled. Like they did it. There was a backlash. It was very clear that the new rules specifically targeted him, and it was reversed. This is not something that we even need to debate about. It's settled that this was a. So the point, I agree with your point that we shouldn't.
But JB, let me ask you a question, and this is what I think he's trying to say. Why is it that, and I'm just playing intermediary here, why is it that with this clear-cut, settled case of Rich Paul how is it? Why can't it just be they tried to get over on somebody that was making too much money? Why does it have to necessarily?
I can answer that.
Because Rich Paul, real quick, Rich Paul did have the unfair advantage of being LeBron's best friend.
Okay, hold up.
So they were hating they was hating because he was making too much money and killing the game.
That's all they're asking. That's all they're asking.
There's several other agents who are making way more money than Rich Paul is.
Okay.
That's the very simple answer to that. And they're not black. Right. So the point is.
So you're saying so? Why didn't they target them? But they did target him.
Yes.
If it was about money, you're saying if it was about money, they would have went for the guy that's been scamming the game all along. But as soon as this black guy comes along and somewhat scams it just a little bit less than him, even those other guys, suddenly they got rules to change. Is that what you're saying?
That's precisely
that's fair. That's fair. They did have degrees, so they were inside the lines, even though they were making a lot of money inside the lines. They looked at Rich Paul like, oh, this Negro making a lot of money, and he's outside the lines, But either way, if some white guy came up and was outside the lines, I don't know if they would have did the same thing. So in that sense, JB do got a fair point. Here's another example of something that's going on where you can remove the white and black from it. Like most people know, if you follow me, I got some AMC stock. I made a little bit of money when AMC had shot up. And I still got a little bit in there waiting for it to shoot back up again. But see, here's the thing. That's mostly white people doing that movement, and they're on some stuff like they're trying to win their parents' money back from the crash. That's what they own. That's what they own. And so a bunch of white people, they calling themselves the eights, dumb money, all that stuff. How they invest in buying AMC and holding it, and it is so much manipulation going on up top. These are the rich white people versus the white people with less money, and the white people with less money trying to figure out how to work the system to take more money from the people higher up.
and the white people higher up, they doing so much illegal stuff that's going to get exposed to where, I mean, it's like that's the Game of Thrones. Like, I mean, damn, it's like we just got to get in the game and fucking fight. Like,
I gotta say one thing.
That has nothing to do with racism.
That was the whole point, SKC. I forgot to put that last thing on there. It has nothing to do with racism.
That's what I'm saying about is if you had individuals that came in, say if you had a small section of the Black Manosphere came in and it went on TV or whatnot, there would be a whole bunch of people that would jump in and say, see, these people in Wall Street are exploiting these black people by not letting them get their AOC stock. It's obvious racism. No, they was doing it to the dudes over on Reddit as well.
Democrats
instantly, if you put black people in it, the first thing that's being yelled is racism without taking in, could this first be a money problem?
I wanted to say one thing.
Again, to that point, XAC, I think most people on this side would agree with you, XAC. To your point here, to that point, I think most people on this side would agree with you. Like, I don't think all we're advocating here, or all I know I'm advocating here is that under that nuance, right? It can't. I don't understand why it has to be black and white, because the point is, like, to your point, I don't just go to racism for everything. I don't go to racism. In fact, I don't live my life thinking about racism, period. Like it just doesn't hold me back.
I'm not saying you. I'm saying the default setting for Black America seems to trend towards, if I come towards a hurdle that I cannot get around or is giving me some issues, the first default setting is to yell racism.
Yes, and I agree with you. I agree with you on that, and I think it shouldn't be the case. That's what I'm saying. We're in agreement on that point. 100%.
I think the reason why Black America does that is because they're looking at historically what has been the reason. It's not like you know what, because I can't win, it's racist. Because I can't get it, I can't get this money. It's not because I'm lazy. It's not because I'm not educated. It's not because I'm a hood. I didn't get arrested because I'm speeding and I'm carrying a Glock 9 and a bunch of Uzis in the trunk. No, it's racism. I get it. I hear where you're coming from, because I'm one of the ones. I'm on your side when it comes to that. Because I'll be like, no, wait. Let me hear the whole story. What the fuck did you do wrong? I'm with you on that. But historically speaking, when you look at percentages, when you look by and large, a lot of times why people of the diaspora just automatically defaults to racism, because sometimes it's easier just to default to that, because odds are that's the reason, and then once the facts come out, if it ain't racism, then we'll get there.
Well, one of the
as opposed to going the other way, saying personal accountability, and then racism is the last option.
One of the problems with that, Shannon, is the boy who cried wolf syndrome.
Yeah, that's true.
And people are going to get tired of it, and then it's not going to be worth anything anymore.
But then when you really need it, because then when it really is racism, who's going to listen?
Yeah.
But also,
then I want to say one
people do not. Hey, hold on. People do not know how to identify racism because they don't read racism. They think of racism as this figmental object in space. So when you actually get a chance to read about it and you get to say, okay, this is what the court cases are. This is what the actual action is in this industry. This is what the actual thing in this industry. These are not folklore stories that you're just perpetuating across a generation. So sometimes you actually have to read and study and look at, okay, well, there's a black Walmart or there's a Walmart on this side of the track because of this reason. It's not just because black people live on the other side of the track. It's because
why they lock up here's the problem, Black TV. Here's the problem. Yeah. Now, because you have individuals, primarily a lot of them being a lot of prominent black women, and this whole idea of CRT and all stuff like that are basically creating a pedagogy based upon everything is racism. What? You have to look at it through a lens of racism.
What is a pedagogy?
A fundamental way of learning.
Go ahead, E-Black.
I'm sorry, a fundamental educational basis, like, you know,
right?
Like women
was that what you was going to call it? Was you going to call it that, SKC, or do you have a different definition in mind?
Well, the definition that I had in mind was that of like Gloria Lansing-Billings, who has the idea of cultural relevant teaching that she presses out amongst the educational world. But I don't want to go off into all of it. That's why I wanted Kim to get the shorter version. But when you have individuals that are preaching that everything is racism, and that you have to look at everything through the lens of racism to get to my truth, as it were.
Right.
What's going to happen? Do you actually believe that if something isn't racism and it comes out that it had nothing to do with racism, that nothing's going to happen? No, people are going to say, God, dog, that's some bull.
Well,
now I can't even trust these people.
I wanted to say one thing. So is it kind of offensive to just say that? I know we had a hard time, presently in the past, but we should just pull ourselves up by the bootstraps, just like other communities have. And I like to say, the Chinese and the other Asians, because that's what they're doing. So is that offensive to say we should just pull ourselves up by bootstraps and just?
No, I think it's offensive to not seek out the absolute truth first instead of going by an assumption of what something is.
I agree with that. About truth. There's a lot of people who are truth first. Everything else falls after that.
But a lot of people focus too much on the truth, and then they stagnate themselves in the present, and they just say,
how can you focus too much on the truth?
No, like they say, you guys did this to us. You guys did this to us. You guys did that to us. This is why I am the way I am now. So because people who internalize it poorly can stagnate themselves, and that has happened numerous times. And now
I think to give an example, how we go back to getting pulled over by the police thing. If you know, okay, I get pulled over by the police, that's racist. It's not necessarily racism. If you maybe you're speeding. Yeah, maybe you're speeding. But if you live on a corridor, like I live on an I-10 corridor, which is the drug corridor. I live by I-45. You're gonna find out that they're gonna do drug stops. I had an uncle who was in the federal drug task force or some federal policing, and he told me, he was like, yo, if you're gonna be traveling, don't wear damn near a suit, because you're gonna get caught up in these drug traffic. They're gonna see two black guys and they're gonna racially profile you, but they're trying to look for drugs. They're not looking to hurt you. They're looking for drugs, and they're looking for trafficking. So once you learn that truth, then you understand that you're not being racially profiled because of I'm black. You're sometimes being profiled because they're looking for drugs. They're looking, sometimes it's during the sweep of registration, insurance,
and like TV. And it's like TV. The wild thing about it is there are a lot of different races of people that have to do alternative things in order to get around certain, challenges that come their way. But they do it.
Okay, so here's the thing though. Like you can choose to do alternative things, which is exactly, I think that's the same thing I preach, is that you can choose to do those things, but at the same time, you can also understand why you have to do those things, right? So, and actually, to E Black's point, I mentioned this one time on your show, Bernard. Like one time I got stopped by a cop in Atlanta, right? And his first thing to me is he basically said, he told me that he smells marijuana odor in my car. Guess what? I don't smoke marijuana. I don't smoke marijuana. I never have people in my car, right? So immediately his statement to me is immediately impossible, right? It's immediately impossible, and I already know he's fishing. And guess what? Now his next step is trying to search my car, because that was his way of finding probable cause, whatever it was, to search my car. And now, as I'm sitting on the sidewalk, okay, just handling my business, as I'm sitting on the sidewalk, I have to basically worry about, is this man gonna plant something in my car? Because if you're willing to lie about smelling something, I don't know how far you're willing to go. So my point is, I didn't leave that stop and just think, oh my God, white people are so racist, the world sucks, and I went on about my day and I continued, kicking ass and do what I did. But I also understood that what I just experienced there was somebody who's literally picking on me for what I look like, or picking me for.
So why didn't you do the Ramil plan and roll your camera, showing that you never have taken any drugs, you don't have any THC in your system, and then take that dude to court?
Yes, I did all those things. I filed a complaint. I let him know that I never consume marijuana. But again, at the same time, get your money. Hold up. At the same time, right? At the same time, first of all, now I have to spend my own hard-earned money to fight something that I feel like I shouldn't have had to fight in the first place. right?
That's what's your solution, bro?
So again, I'm not saying you guys have to understand nuance here. There's a point about nuance.
What is your solution? What is your solution to all of these problems? Like not so much the traffic stop, like the totality of what you're describing. You're giving examples of how, systemic racism exists, okay? Let's say I take you at your word. How would you go about correcting this systemic problem?
My strategy is I basically just do my thing. I work with I find alternative routes, like the brother said earlier. Like I guess I find alternative routes. I work with other men, not just black men.
What is your systemic solution? Not personally. Sorry. That's not the correct path. Not personally. What is your systemic solution to a systemic problem? Because if I were to say to you, I'm successful.
I'm not part of the system.
Well, then we're just going to be bitching forever here, because you keep saying the only solution is to just get out and achieve, be the best you can. That's what you've done, which is basically a bootstrap argument. So, like, if there is no systemic solution, what the hell are we talking about?
So how is acknowledging a reality a bitching? Like, I don't understand that. Because essentially, what I'm
having to take the police to court is bitching about having to take the police to court. Like, bro, that's life in America.
That's called sharing. That's called sharing.
No, I'm sorry. That's life in a civil society, though.
Okay, but here's the thing. Okay, but here's the thing, though.
Bill was saying about this whole situation. It's like there's no sense in sitting up trying to complain about it. What you do is take action. You don't go on the offense. Say, roll the camera, do what you got to do, take the dude to court, get money and remedy for him wasting your time.
I agree.
Okay.
And then move on. As you do that, then you start to actually fix the problem, because people will start to understand, oh, I can't do this. I can't get over on dudes like this.
Okay, and that's what I think JB said he did that. Hold up,
That ain't gonna change nothing.
Listen, with all due respect, these arguments are so obtuse. Like, I'm doing all of that, but at the same time, my argument is going against the points that have been made here, that I'm not bitching, I'm not complaining, right? I don't live my life thinking of racism and the boogeyman is holding me back. I'm pointing out that because these arguments earlier, one guy specifically said that, I think that was Trey, that racism is not real or it doesn't exist, whatever he said. Like, my solution is that I'm not going to lie to myself. I understand the environment, the landscape I'm in. I'm not going to lie to myself, but at the same time, I'm not going to let it hold me back. That's my solution. Say what?
If the racism is so easily overcome, is it worth this much conversation?
Who said it's easily overcome?
It's not. Who said it's?
You just did.
I did.
You survived, bro. You here?
No, that's not true.
Like, niggas get shot every day, B, and all you did is get your car tossed.
I have to work 10 times harder every day.
I think we're forgetting.
You have to work 10 times harder. 10 times harder than who? The bums? You have to work 10 times harder than the homeless niggas?
No, not the bums. Actually, not the bums. Like
seriously, like, what are we crying about?
Wait, we're crying.
Y'all picking on JP, man. Y'all.
You refuse to move past the racism point. You refuse to move past the racism point. With an argument today.
I'm not gonna be like you. Well, hold on. No, I'm not gonna be like you do. You try to pretend like this stuff, like people, like this stuff is not real. It's one thing where I can acknowledge.
No. You can come. You overcame racism. We're trying to have a conversation about overcoming the influence of black women, and you want to keep focusing on racism. You overcame racism. Now let's overcome black women, bro.
What does it mean to overcome racism?
JB, well, what you're doing is similar to like people who have played like a professional sport or a organized sport, and let's say basketball. After every game, the dude talking about what official didn't make the right call. He's like, dude, everybody knows there's going to be bad calls in every game. That's just the way it is. You move on. You don't have. Yes, everybody accepts it and goes on. You don't focus your training and everything else on what the officials are going to call, what bad calls they're going to make.
Yes, and
meanwhile, we're not studying for the next game. We're not preparing for the next game.
So here's the thing. Stacey, you're correct, right? But I've made it clear again that my statements here are directly in response to people trying to claim that racism does not exist, period, or trying to just dismiss it. Because I can make, like, this is, we're having a discussion.
Nobody is saying that it doesn't exist. They're saying they're bad songs and you move on with the game.
Hold up. This is not, I don't live my life every day. Like, Bernard and I, here's an example. Bernard and I talk on the phone all the time, right? We talk on the phone, we're working on things, etc., right? Do I ever mention racism to you, Bernard? Is that ever seen to be in any aspect?
No, actually, I get very shocked when you mention it on a panel, because in real life, you never mention it. You talk about how to, you talk a lot about how to acquire power. So that's why I get shocked when you talk about racism on a live stream. But what you all about in your real life is trying to figure out how to get more power.
And part of acquiring power is understanding the landscape.
Bernard, which goes back to my educational point, to where people sometimes you have to be educated about what's going on, and you have to have hard evidence of what's going on to address the issues that are going to be coming up. So I think that's what he's saying, is that he understands what's going on. So he's willing to deal with it and move forward in his way. So he's not saying that, because I'm acknowledging racism, I'm so held back. He's saying I acknowledge racism and I'm moving forward as the man I am.
Okay. Bernard, do you have haze? Bernard, do you have these haze sessions every day?
Haze sessions?
These are like hazing in here. I'm a noob, so you know.